ghostly mark. Cobwebs twine and shadows dance in this twilight somber trance. Candles flicker, weary wicks, ancient echoes, time's cruel tricks. Marble figures, frozen pose, amidst the silence sorrow grows. Whispering shadows, secrets keep in the depths where night meets sleep. Underneath the velvet gloom, guardians of the haunted room. Chandeliers in crystal tears reflect forgotten yesteryears, softly chanting distant cries. Through the arches sorrow sighs. Gargoyles watch with stony gaze, guardians of endless maze. Pipe organ's breath begins to rise, filling air with mournful ties. Whispering shadows, secrets keep in the depths where night meets sleep. Underneath the velvet gloom, guardians of the haunted room.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Lady Red of the Black Pants Legion. I am back from con. I live. If I've done things right, you guys can hear me. And also, I found Lictor. Hi, Lictor.
Hi, I was in the ceiling all along.
Were you stalking us? No,
Yes,
can't hear
what?
me.
Hello.
Oh, well, seems I've messed it up. They failed to stream once again. Oh, no, whatever will we do? Yep, Von Kalkenstein can't hear me either. Oh no, it's all gone wrong. Hello,
Can
chat.
you hear?
How are
I
you,
hear
chat?
voices. Hello, Wilf. Yes, Wilf. If you can hear voices, which of them are mine?
If you're hearing
And how
voices
many?
that are not mine or Lictor's, please consult a psychotherapist. Ceiling Lictor
mean,
is
if
watching
you're-
you write smart. Put a pin in that thought, Ed, because we're going to be coming back to it, because con was fun and things happened, and we're going to make sure certain people have regrets. How did I enjoy the Beeple meetup? It was fabulous. It was absolutely amazing. I'm very tired. I'm just about over the con crud because I only slept about 5 hours a night because I was having too much fun. I was very lucky. The wonderful Ether, our resident booze wizard, allowed Iden and I to reside with him off-site while we were visiting, which meant that we got to start our mornings with Ether and his partner, and also with Squick, and we would have coffee. And it turns out Ether's partner, Lizzie, is absolutely amazing, has actual qualifications in writing, and I definitely didn't keep her up till gone midnight talking about books and bad books and literature and writing and etc.
No, you haven't.
I would never do that.
That would be a travesty. How could that even happen? No, that's a lie. Damn lie.
We had a wonderful time. We did many, many good things. When I get to the update, Doctor Who, and we tell people things, you are absolutely welcome to join. But I might hold off on that for just a little bit and let a few more people roll in. Because I think when we drop the news of the mistake somebody made, I think chat's going to enjoy it.
Yes. We like mistakes.
We do.
We do it a lot. We do them all the time with such fervent repetition.
If
I mean,
Ether
if we
is the
didn't like
booze
mistakes,
wizard,
who-
is Lizzie a coffee wizard? Ether also was making the coffee. Ether was just wonderful at the meetup. I'd be sat outside around the fire pit with various people because, admittedly, like the thing I wanted to do most at the con was just to hang out with other Legion members, because for me this was my first full con. I went to the Northwest meetup earlier in the year, which was amazing, but this was the first one where, you know, the majority of people were there and a lot of the well-known names in the Legion. So I just wanted to hang out with people, listen to people tell stories and have a good time, which I absolutely did. And Ether would just appear with coffee and be like, would you like coffee or would you like cocoa? And then there were hot drinks. It was just wonderful. Yes, there
sounds amazing.
was a little bit of a mold issue at the compound. We found a couple of areas that were not properly ventilated. That will be either something that needs to be addressed for next year, or whether it's a different location. But overall, I mean, I was outside most of the time. It was just the best time. We had a pool. It was a unheated saltwater pool. So it was quite cold, but we had nice warm Texas weather, so it was kind of nice just to sort of, go in for a bit and then sit out in the sun and then go in. And I spent like the first 3 days just in the pool doing pool nonsense and talking to people, mostly about writing. Did also sign Storm Song's butt at one point. That happened. So, for a
nice.
while, Storm Song was a Lady Red original, and that was a good time.
That is great.
We will be having crab battles at some point. I did not have a crab battle in the pool while we were away. I did, however, you see, the first mistake that was made, there was a northern English person at the meetup and there was a southern English person at the meetup. And the expected happened. We did try to drown each other. But it was fine.
Okay.
It was fine.
Did you establish royalty lines? I mean, someone contacted a friend?
There was a lot of
Or what-
shouting about black lung and southern softies and, the usual things that happen when you put somebody from Yorkshire and somebody from Berkshire in the same location. And then they threw a Scotsman in the mix, and it surprisingly turned out okay. Nobody died.
And no Frenchman. Amazing.
No French.
You
I think if
literally
there had been a
skipped-
Frenchman, there would have been problems.
So what you're saying, I should get there.
You absolutely need to come to one of these if at all humanly possible. I would love to spend time with you.
Yeah, no, that's
Spent
part
quite
of
a
the
bit of
plan.
time in hot tubs, also talking about writing and books and many other things. Hung out with Granite Elephant, which was a wonderful, wonderful time. And it's the nicest thing about the meetup is not just that, it's a collection of people who are similar-minded, which of course is true of the orcs as well, but that you're just around a lot of creative people and a lot of creative energy and all of that sort of thing. So it was just nice talking to people about their projects, about my projects, about other projects we like. There was talk about a hot tub writing stream, because I might see about getting a hot tub when we redo our deck out the back next year, if we've got the cash for it. And there's already a title for what those streams would be called. So there might be a hot tub writing stream at some point. It would be the sort of thing I did for like pickup streams, where I just read stuff to people or whatever. But that could be quite a lot of fun. I did have some good times in the hot tub.
Okay. What's a hot tub stream?
It's where the streamer is literally in a hot tub. So the fun thing for me will be is that I've made, quite a dedicated effort not to show my face on streams. Frankly, because you don't deserve that, chat. Chat is wonderful and doesn't need to see that. But we'll have to figure something out. It will be very funny. But that's a next year problem. That is a next year problem. But yeah,
good.
we did lots of creative things. So we looked at creative things, we talked about creative things, and then Tex decided we all needed to watch Neil Breen movies. So that was fun. Oh, the dogs are back.
What?
Neil Breen movies. So for anybody who doesn't know Neil Breen, He is a unique individual who enjoys making movies, and they're a bit special. If you've never seen one and would like to, let me know. I will be happy to either point you in the right direction, or we can do a watch together, because I know where to find all of his stuff.
Everything we've watched together up until now worked out beautifully. So we can do that.
So you know how everything we've watched up till now has actually been good?
Yes.
This won't be.
Okay.
But it's a very amusing form of not good.
Okay. I'll bite. So many have demanded petting. And now what are we petting?
Well, the dogs are now back. They're currently eating their lunch. Once they're done eating lunch and inevitably come and leap on me, I will administer all of the pets. I see Doctor Who is quoting a very famous line from one of the movies we watched, which was, "How could you have committed suicide?" Well, I can't pull you out of this one. Which, that's about the same inflection that you get in the movie, which is to say none. I can't believe you committed suicide. How could you have done this?
I mean, I don't know how seriously to answer that. Say hello to Aiden.
Lictor says hi.
Hello, Lictor.
I'm sure chat will as well. But yes, dogs are back. I'm now administering pets to Anka. She has, in fact, leapt up onto my lap and has come to see what we're doing. All right, we've got about 22 people here. Doctor Who, would you like to jump in chat so we can talk about the mistake that was made?
I want to know the mistakes.
Chat, you are going to love this. You are going to love the unfortunate thing that has happened, and we are absolutely going to abuse the crap out of it. So we will see about getting Doctor Who in here.
I think I heard something.
Hello,
Yes.
I can hear you. Hopefully chat should be able to hear you too. You should be coming through the same feed as...
Can chat hear me?
As a Lictor.
Chat, you have to tell him.
Legally, you have to tell me if you can hear me.
I hope they can, because I can't do anything right now.
You're opening the wrong door, Doctor Who.
A wild Doctor Who appears.
Don't bring legality. We did discuss war crimes at length in this court, and it did not end well.
No, for no one. Absolutely.
So what I think we'll do is Doctor Who wasn't there when the mistake was made, but as soon as we came back, give me just a sec. So as soon as we came back, I went and leapt in front of Doctor Who and told him about the mistake. So I'm going to let him tell you what I told him and how.
If I can, before I
Absolutely.
enter, explain what happened on my end.
Absolutely.
So compound was wonderful. Bit of a mold problem, and I was apparently sleeping in the bedroom that had the worst of it, or was adjacent to the problem, and knocked me on my ass. So
if we'd realised sooner, I would have been like, "Come and sleep here," and you'd have been fine. But we didn't know until the day you left.
I would have been very fine. Luckily, sinus rinse and acetaminophen can hold a lot of things, but my solution was I'm just going to sleep a lot, which would have worked if I wasn't sleeping in the mold room.
Yes. It wasn't that Resident Evil, Wilf, unless you were in the wrong area.
The entire con chat, the last day of the last day when everyone was traveling away, was just like everyone being like, I have left the compound and I'm heading for location X, Y, or Z. And an hour and a half later being like, oh God, I can breathe better now. So I told Lady Red, who often claims here that she is a boring person if you ever meet her in real life.
Which I am.
Oh God, why would you ever want to meet her in
Correct.
real life? And look at her face. Turn around, look at me, who spent half of the con on my ass trying to not throw up and be conscious. Yes, except yes, Ralphie is chanting Chippy's very favorite
So
very favorite saying from
one
the
of my
con.
favorite things was Chippy did the chant first while we were outside, but it didn't really catch on until like that evening after Chippy had gone to bed,
With
and
Neil
we were playing.
Breen.
Well, we were playing. No, that was the night after. We were playing board games the night before in the back room,
Ooh.
and
yes.
I got the board game crew started doing it, and it just went from
And-
there. And by the time we got
And,
to Neil Breen, everyone
replace
was doing it.
Finn's chat. Replace Finn's with a certain TOS towing the line word for
Breasticles.
Yes.
A type of bird, a well-known
Yes.
type of blue-legged bird.
followed by a way.
Yes, it got very British this meetup.
so
There was
they-
only two of us. Well, there was three of us once. Once the Scot arrived.
It was the racist day where we found the best Legion racist. We went go-karting.
Yes.
Okay.
I thought that I was going to be okay going. Turns out the mold headache killed me, so I just stayed home and I helped around the compound a little bit. Mo and I did some painting. We had a lovely time just hanging around and existing at the compound. And here I am, sitting in one of the many luxurious couches when all of the Legion racists come home, and Lady Red bounces in and jumps, I swear to God, about 3.5 feet over another couch and lands like a cat crossed with a toddler about to tell me the absolute bestest secret that ever happened at school ever, and said, and I quote, Tex made a mistake.
I mean, he did.
That doesn't narrow it down at all. I mean, Tex made a mistake kind of describes every year between 2000 and 2025.
Lichter.
Have you noticed? What?
So I said, oh, did you get him to agree to read the book? TM air quotes. And she said, and Lady Red said, no, he's going to copy edit my smut. And then bounded off with a glint in her eye of absolute mischief.
Yep.
You're going to make him the book, the Chuck Tingle.
No. So
No.
here's the thing.
Good smut.
We'd been go-kart
Oh.
racing, and it was then time to go and have lunch, and we went to a lovely Brazilian steakhouse, and we're all sat and talking about things.
Fogo de Chao.
Yes, we
Let's
went
go
to
get
Fogo de Chao.
Brazilians.
It was very nice. And, Tex is talking about some projects he's got in mind, things he wants to do, a 5-minute film that'll be very fun if it happens. There's various talk going backwards and forwards. And, of course, writing inevitably comes up, and I'm sat there yelling about the Battletech romance, because this was kind of a thing over the con with me. I finished the book on the plane. I lost my mind. I thought it was very, very funny, so I started telling him bits from it, and then he started losing his mind over different bits. So there's one point.
The first thing she did to me, chat, when she came, when she found me at the con, was just like, "Hello, Doctor Who," hugged me, and then strangled me.
Yes, which was the appropriate way to do things. So, we're on the plane, and I'm finishing this book, and I'm losing my mind because there's a moment in it where, okay, chat, for the Battletech people in chat, which is most of you, there is a moment in this book towards the end where it's Founding Day. The clans are celebrating Founding Day, and they've made the frankly rather sensible decision that each clan should celebrate it separately on this particular year to prevent any issues. So
separately but respectfully.
yes, so
but the most important founding is Clan Wolf.
Yeah,
because we're in charge.
Yeah, so Clan Wolf is, basically in the middle of Seattle, in the middle of the Clan Wolf base, which should be, the most defended place on Terra already. And they're doing a parade, and the Ilkhan has decided that because, Terrans need to start understanding clanner ways and etc., instead of everything going one way, each clan should have a Terran delegate to show how things are done. And I don't hate this idea. I don't know that I think it's in keeping with the setting or it's the way that things should have gone, but there's at least some logic behind this. So, of course...
I must say, out of every decision that Alaric Ward made in this novel, that is probably the one that I agree with the most.
There was actually some logic behind it.
Look, we're here. We both have very separate cultures. Let's try and understand each other and have a little bit of cross-cultural awareness. You learn some of us, and I am trying to learn some of you, albeit through boinking the relief director.
And never leaving Seattle and only worrying about the harvest in this one specific city, despite the fact I'm now ostensibly in charge of multiple planets.
Let's just give Alaric the little bit of the credit he deserves for being at least somewhat decent with having a cultural exchange.
Corbin, I see you. You sit your butt down. I'm going to have words with you later, incidentally. I'm going to find you later. I need to have words. So anyway, they've got this Founding Day parade going on. They've got, the unit all lined up. Alaric's Savage Wolf is there, and he's, the mechs are being shown off to Devendra, his love interest, by an aide, because he's obviously busy with the parade. And there's a description of 4 mechs, and she can't tell them apart. You've got a locust, you've got a wasp, a stinger, and a fire moth. I don't know how she can't tell these mechs apart, because they sure as hell don't look the same. There's like 2 of them you could perhaps,
One of them looks like a frickin' Mack truck on stilts.
I mean, Iden describes the fire moth as having the Cornholio thing going on, because it's got the arms up. It's got...
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
How do you mistake that for a locust? They don't look at all alike. So I'm losing my mind over this. I tell Iden about it. He starts losing his mind because he's like, where's the 5th one? This is supposed to be a star. How are there only 4 mechs? Then I read the next line. And the Hell's Horses have somehow managed to smuggle 4 mechs. So again, we're at 4 mechs. Where's the 5th one? Anyway, they've managed to smuggle 4 mechs into the heart of the Carganate, and they sneak an Atlas around the side of the hangar to open fire on the parade. How do you sneak an Atlas anywhere?
Through a secure perimeter, through a reinforced barrier wall, they snuck an Atlas.
Yep.
That's 40K. That's 40K level of stupid.
Yep, this is a heavy-ass mech. And chat has just had the exact same response as everyone else I've just lost my mind to about this. Oh yeah, it's just Steiner Scout nonsense. No! This book doesn't deserve that. So obviously, I have passionate feelings about this book and how wrong it is, and this ends up coming up at the table while we're at the Brazilian restaurant, and we're talking about the that it's a very bad smut book as well, because there's no chemistry. There's
Eisen, yes, that's essentially what I think everyone in the censor room must have done. Someone said, hey, look at this over here, and ignored the freaking 100-ton mech blip breaching the perimeter.
They were too busy glaring at all the plot holes, drowning out the sun. And just like, the mech is the least of our problems. Why is physics?
Yeah,
admittedly. Water, no drink.
So, as you can understand from the way that, chat is losing their mind, my co-hosts are losing their mind, I have opinions about this, and some of these come out of the table. And so Tex starts talking about romance books in general, and I had a long chat with Iden. There's already like 3 Battletech romance books I want to write that would be quite fun. Some of which would be serious. One would be just fun, and one would be, quite sort of a serious book. The 3rd one, we'll see how that goes. Well, thanks to Tex, he suggests The Wives of Solaris 7. So now I've got 4 books I need to write. But while we're...
Real Housewives of Solaris 7.
Correct. That's going to be a thing. So while we're talking about this, and I'm talking about various things and stuff that needs to go on, and that I'm going to tinglify the one that already exists. Tex made the mistake of saying, well, when you write your next romance, because he was talking about how, what he thinks would make quite a good way of handling writing a romance book, because we both came to the same conclusion that the biggest thing that the romance genre needs is non-romance writers. But he turned around and said, I will copy edit your next smut book. And I have taken that as a promise. And I intend to make this definitely a Tex problem.
She took a promise and made it a threat.
Yes.
I mean, this is so on brand. I'm not even surprised. I'm like, okay, that is so plausible. I can sneak a Steiner mech behind it.
Chat is now agreeing Tex has made a mistake. Tex effed up. Correct. Yes, Corbin, I'm not just writing one mech smut book. There will be multiples, and there'll probably be a short story at some point that's just like literally a mech smut book, because I am just delighted with the idea of a really enterprising Irby in an atlas. And we have a name for that atlas now as well, thanks to Squick. If I find my... where is my art goals document? Because Squick named one, and it was very, very good.
Scrivener.
We lost Scrivener. I am so sorry. Let me bring that back. There we go. My fault.
Wait a minute. I have to be cognizant of your
Bully
of the
Snake.
thought processing.
Bully Snake. We had to bully Tex into taking a vacation in which he did nothing work-related a couple years ago. We literally had to raise money, give it to him, and say, no work for week. And he said, but work. And we said, no. And he said, aw.
Ah, there we go. There is the mech name. Lady Bazonga Cannon Tits, who will have fluid guns and battle fists for knees. And the pilot needs to be Battletech William Dafoe with a neural helmet. This is Squick's
he's
fault.
something of a mech warrior himself.
This is so terrible. The only question I have, and it's a question of mechanics. Is the romance between the Irby and the Atlas?
Yes.
Or their pilots?
No. The Irby and the Atlas, probably at great consternation of the pilots, because that would be funny.
Okay, I've seen that sort of art. I know where this is going.
Yes, Ralphie, I am very familiar with the Nipple Fairy. I was there for the inception of the Nipple Fairy, just in the background. And for anybody who's, listening and not watching and keeping up with chat, Aiden has a mauler named the Nipple Fairy because of the amount of lasers on it. And one day it does need to get its butthole, you're right. The Nipple Fairy needs a butthole. So yeah, that's currently, the state of play with where we're at with romance and this stream and this channel. I'm sure Tex is going to send me back, even if I do my absolute best work and to send it through alpha people and beta people and get it in the best format that I can. The moment I give it to Tex, it's just going to come back with just all these red lines all over it, which will be, completely fair and valid and will make it a better piece of work when I'm done.
Lady Red, you've made a mistake and I've immortalized it.
Yep, I'm fine with this. So yeah, that's how that went. That was like the silly side of the meetup, but that they were positive and normal and sensible and growth based things. I did get the BattleTech romance out. It started on board game night where I was reading snippets while they were setting up the board game, and then when people died, I was reading more snippets for their sins. And at one point, Exemplus came in and started reading from it. Which was also very fun.
Are we enshrining this book as a written form of purgatory?
Basically, yeah. Basically. BB came in at one point while I was reading, and she listened to like 5 lines and just left. She was like, I'm having nothing to do with this anymore.
She was like, hey guys, are you okay? I'm gone.
Hey. That is a legitimate response.
But positive things that have happened. One, I got to meet a lot of other creative people, and we do now have a dedicated writing server running. It's called the Black Page Legion. Cassie, Maddie, and myself set it up. It has started to go live as of yesterday. We've got an initial sort of crop of authors in there to make sure things are working. So if you are planning on working on a full work that you would like to have critiqued, if you are interested in resources and you are interested in reading the work of other Legionnaires who are in a similar, sort of serious capacity trying to get some full words down, let me know. I will happily add you people. Corbin, if you write there and exclusively there and nowhere else ever, that will be good enough for me. I miss your writing. It doesn't have to be writing that involves me in any way. You are an excellent writer, and I would like to see you continue to develop that craft. So yes, if you would like in, DM me. I will get you the details, and I would love to have you guys over there. Another thing that has happened is because of talking about writing some, romance of my own and seeing what I could do with the genre, Iden bought me the Warrior trilogy because I haven't read that yet. And
I have that as well.
Yeah, the time period.
Let me know when
could
you
be
start.
interesting. So I was going to
start,
start
and we
on the
can-
plane on the way back, and I noticed something really interesting when I picked the book up. Yes, you were chanting "beat it off" a lot because beating aliens off is very important. You don't want them getting at your vital juices.
No, I was going to say I also have the Warrior trilogy. Mine is
For the
signed by
uninfo-
Martin Stackpole.
Nice. So I opened it up
Let me know when you start, and we'll
I
start
will.
together.
So what happened was I opened it up on the plane to come back because I thought, I'll start reading some good BattleTech writing on the way back to make up for the terrible writing that I read on the way out. And I noticed something immediately. So I like to go back to certain books quite regularly. There are some books that I read like once a year. There's some books that I read every couple of years. And because they're like my familiar, comfy books, it's not always as immediately obvious to me and I'm putting this in the world's biggest inverted commas, flaws in those books because they're my comfort food and I grew up with them. But
Michael,
yes.
Michael, not Martin.
you still have con brain, it's fine. But what I noticed immediately on opening the first book of the Warrior trilogy was I read like the first 2 or 3 paragraphs and went, if this was released today, I'd be critiquing this as having bad writing in it. Now, it's not...
It came out during the 80s.
Well, that was the thing. I looked at Iden and said, this book was written in the 90s. And then we actually looked and it was 1988. And then everything made sense. And that's the interesting thing. Issue is the wrong word. Interesting thing is how writing has evolved since I started being really about reading when I was young to where we're at now.
I'm looking at this first paragraph, and this
it
yells
commits
of it yells of late 80s, early 90s pulp sci-fi novel.
Yeah, because I'm going to put, again, this is in big inverted commas because it's not actually bad writing, but it commits sins that you would not be encouraged to get away with today. So it drops you immediately into a setting with no sort of prep work at all. It gives you the names and titles of people that mean nothing to you, and it's immediately into like sort of this dramatic persona stuff that's going on, things between these
very in media res.
Yes.
And just assuming that you know enough to roll with it.
Yep. And then it also is describing the color of the dress, the color of the hair, the color of their eyes, all things that you would not do today. But it's not bad writing, it's older writing. This was much more in vogue back then, and writing has evolved. We've gotten even better at chomping down the formula to make sure that we hook the reader in the beginning and give ourselves time to reveal these sorts of things. So it was really interesting to read a book that I know is going to be well written and that I'm going to enjoy and that a lot of people have enjoyed, but to immediately see, and again inverted commas, flaws with it because of the time period that's passed from when it was written to how we do things now. And I just found that really fascinating, but I knew immediately I'm going to need to be in the right frame of mind to start reading these books because I need to be, I need to be cozy. I'll probably be in the bath with a cup of tea and put myself into okay, this is a late 80s book. Let's see what it's got. And that's when I'll read it.
Also, it's like, who's the audience for this? 20-something-year-old
Yes.
college kids, you know?
Who are probably also somewhat aware of the setting already, because although this is Stackpole's first trilogy that he wrote, it's not the first BattleTech book. The setting does,
No, absolutely.
already exist.
And it's like just reading those first couple of paragraphs, like right now during chat.
Do you mind
I
reading
I
a
I,
paragraph?
I am yes,
I mean,
sure.
you two are sitting there, and I'm wondering if I want to read it. So
I am
help
struck.
out.
I am struck by how similar the writing sounds to the BattleTech romance book, which leads me to believe that because the original joke couple of pages was written by Michael Stackpole, as an April Fool's joke, it leads me to believe that Miss York took this as a style parody into the BattleTech romance book, and
I
then
personally
utterly
think that's giving her
failed.
too much credit, but you could be right. But would you care to read the first couple of paragraphs
at
for
least
us?
for the opening paragraph. I don't have my BattleTech romance book.
No. I mean,
present.
of the warrior.
No.
Do you want to read?
No. I know. I have it literally right here. All right. So it opens with the same kind of chapter heading of the BattleTech romance book, which I assume is a modern conveyance. The same kind of location and date blurb. Comstar First Circuit Compound, Hilton Head Island, North America, Terra, the 1st of June, 3022. Mindo Waterley, the presenter of Dierion, tried to slip into the Primus's chambers silently. So fluid was her gait that she made it all the way to the golden star symbol inlaid in the floor without so much as a whisper of her silken robes to announce her approach. Taking a deep breath, she stopped there and let the hood of her red robe slide back from her fair hair. In the half second she allowed herself to recall the starting point of her argument, the Primus utterly shattered her strategy. Standing stock still and with his back to her, the voice of the Primus, Julian. I'm reading these names for the first time. Julian Taipolo suddenly rang out. "The peace of Blake be with you, presenter Dierion." How could he know? How could he know I was here? Mindo thought momentarily, shaken. The man is unnatural. And his wisdom with you, Primus. Though she fought it, a nervous tremor undercut the boldness of Mindo's riposte. And she swallowed and waited as the tall, cadaverously thin leader of the Comstar turned slowly to face her. He had been looking out through one of the high oval windows of the chamber, which let in enough of the bright afternoon sun to illuminate the room. His aquiline nose and piercing brown eyes had always made Mindo think of a hawk, but today she reacted differently to his gaunt boniness and bald head. He's more a vulture, she thought. Keeping his hands tucked into the broad sleeves of his dun-colored robe, Taipolo slowly descended the short stairway leading from the window to the main area of his private audience chamber. And that is the entirety of the first page.
Yep. And there's bits in there that are good, and certain little things that are dropped in the right places. Her perception of how he looks, hawkish, but today he's a vulture. That's good. But unfortunately, the first question that, if you don't know the series, if you don't know the characters,
what the hell's a presenter?
Exactly. Who are these people and why should I care? Which is the one question that you don't want when you open a book.
Who's a Primus?
But yeah.
Although immediately, I will say immediately, right after we ask these questions, the nature of their conversation, even if it is just this call and response answer, kind of gives the power dynamic away.
Yes. So there's good writing in there. It's just got some like small sins attached.
We may not know what their titles mean, but we now know that that presenter is subservient to Primus.
Yes.
I mean, these are just okay. Blame the sort of place I'm from. This is just enough to tease me to think, okay, this might be interesting to find out. Center and Primus are simply what these words that people use when they want to use Latin to sound pompous.
Oh, have you met Comstar? Pompous with a side of pompous? Hold the pompous? Extra pompous?
So what's interesting is, as we said,
They are
this
about as
isn't-
pompous as the clans are honorable.
This isn't bad writing. This is just writing that's got some sins of the time period attached to it that we've, further refined with time. And I'm going to enjoy reading these books. I'm not at all expecting it to be as bad as the Battletech romance, but I just found it really interesting that I picked it up and immediately I was, picking up flaws, and I'm using the big inverted commas again because again it's just a time period thing, but it was interesting.
It's
Somebody
also
mentioned go on.
It's the pulse of the time period more so
Yes.
than a flaw.
Yes.
It's how it's how books were written during that decade, not
Yeah.
so much
Especially
a
within certain niches.
bad writing convention. It's just not in vogue anymore.
So Von Falkenstein brought up something else that I wanted to talk about with regards to this before we move on to our own stuff today. Is that was it Von Falkenstein who said it? Yes, it was. That the sort of place, time, etc. is a kind of BattleTech standard, and most chapters in most books will have that, which in terms of things like the Warrior Trilogy is going to matter because you actually need to be able to think about, okay, what time is this happening? Because you're going to get that intrigue of, okay, well, while this big important thing was happening, over here, this other big important thing was happening. And then when the results of those two things collide, you need to know, both of the things that happened for why the results are important and why people are doing the things that they're doing. That's why you have this sort of opening where you're like, this is where we currently are. This is the current time and date, so that you know that this thing you've just read is happening at the same time as this next thing I want you to read, which is happening in this place at this time and date.
But when your entire book takes place in the Pacific Northwest over the course of a couple of months, that that conveyance and I just had the word
Contrivance.
Yes or no that sort of structure. It's not really that word, but similar. That sort of structure is very redundant. Whereas you could have just said a few weeks later or later that day instead of doing that break in the middle of chapters about 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, that's the problem with the BattleTech romance is that
one
style doesn't
chapter,
serve it.
Style, yes. One 3-page chapter or like one 4-page chapter had 3 of these date, time, location breaks.
Mm-hmm. And it doesn't
And it was
matter.
only a couple hours.
And it doesn't matter. You never have the issue of, okay, we're being told about this thing that's happening at this time. At the same time, this other thing is happening over there. That never happens. It is a straight narrative of events from this thing happened, then this thing happened, then this thing happened, then this thing happened, and you are always following the same characters. There's no crossover of, needing to have the dramatic irony of understanding that 2 things have happened at once and the consequences are now going to clash together in the 3rd chapter. That never happens. The time and date mean nothing. It's purely there because that's how all BattleTech books look. And no, things in books mean things, otherwise it shouldn't be there.
I think the book would have been better if it didn't have those.
I agree. It's distracting. It is very, very distracting.
Yes, it is very. It's very distracting from how like it wouldn't have saved the book.
No,
but it wouldn't. But
it would have been one less thing to bitch about.
Yes, absolutely. Chat, Lady Red and I have made a mistake. If we are ever together and the subject of this book comes up and both of us are sober or awake. We're just going to bitch about it for hours and hours and hours. And this is
Yes.
ostensibly a con update and crab stream.
Yes, but this is also, we're talking about writing things here, and bad examples
No,
are really
absolutely.
good to learn from. There was another thing that really annoyed me towards the end of the book. So you end up with this really contrived moment where you've got Alaric piloting his Savage Wolf and Devendra's in the back. And he needs a system fixing, and she's there trying to fix it for him so he can bring his main guns online. And she drops into a little bit of clan speak, and it feels very unnatural and weird. And what feels unnatural and weird is how she responds to it.
In the cockpit.
Yeah, let's not even go
fuse
there.
in the cockpit.
Especially when there was a way they could have explained that away that was better than the way that they did it, but regardless. So you've got this stuff going on where she's kind of dropped into a little bit of clanner speak from being around Ward so much, and it's supposed to be, this whole thing, and it feels unnatural because the things that she's saying are not that big a deal and whatever. But what annoyed me was you get these moments where she's having thoughts and she's thinking about either mech names or clan terms, and because they're not familiar to her, she's getting them somewhat wrong, which in itself is fine, but there's a problem with the way that the book is set up. The book has a glossary in the back because the book did something that was really sensible. It made the decision that I'm going to assume the people reading this book don't know everything, that they're not already versed. I'm going to put a glossary in the back so that whenever I use a word that people might not know, they can go and look up what it means. This is great if you've never heard clanner speak before, or that there's a specific word that's been used that you haven't come across. You can flick to the back, you can find out what it means, and then you can continue with the book. I don't have an issue with that. That's great. But the problem comes in is that by the time you get to the end of the book and you've now got a character who's getting words wrong by her own ignorance, it makes you turn to the back of the book to look for the word to see if she's being stupid or whether you're just uninformed, and it pulls you out of the moment. And the worst part is this is happening in the big action scene of the book, and it's the only bit of the book that has any good writing in it. So you are taking the highlight of the book. It's not great, but it's the best the book has to offer, and you are pulling the reader out to make them go and look at the glossary to see if the character is stupid, if the reader is stupid, and it turns out, no, it's just the author is stupid. And that upset me so unbelievably much.
Von Falkenstein, I mean, you are not wrong.
The glossary being mandatory is not a bad
the
thing.
fuses in about the fuses in the cockpit. You're not wrong about the fuses being in the cockpit, but the main fuse that powers a PPC that is offline. It's like the setting is like Alaric's Savage Wolf's weapons are like half online, and the only way to power them on is to change out a fuse in the cockpit, and it's
in the back of the cockpit, basically under the pilot's chair.
And it's like the main power for the weapon is routed through the cockpit. It's not that this is a
writing.
Yes.
It's not that this isn't. It's not that like the fuse isn't letting like the screen power on. No, the weapon is down because one fuse through the main power system is down in the cockpit.
It's very silly.
Sci-fi.
Yes.
Bad sci-fi.
But von Falkenstein
Right,
also
you
mentioned,
want
the
it.
glossary is mandatory. The glossary being there isn't the problem. It's the fact that the author doesn't consider that the glossary is there and tune their writing appropriately to keep their reader in the story.
How much? How? At this point in the novel, Lady Red, how many times had Alaric Ward been with Darvenda? How many times has she been around clan speak? She should have picked up on some of these terms. I don't know what that means.
She's spending
Context
literally
clues,
all
ladies.
of her time with
you
him.
are willfully ignorant at this point.
So yeah,
And I
anyway.
think willful-
Isn't she
willful-
intelligent? person.
yes,
or
She's-
portrayed
yes.
as such.
We are told repeatedly how smart she is by the narrator, by
But we are
Alaric, by
never
herself.
shown.
Correct. She never
We are
comes across
shown
as
how
smart.
stupid and ditzy she is.
And just, oh my god, oh, the BattleTech
The-
romance
the-
is so bad.
This novel is an exercise in tell don't show.
Yes. It's just,
And it shows things completely opposite
yeah.
of what it tells.
Right, so anyway, that's the BattleTech romance all over again. For the people who've slid in the last sort of half hour, because I've seen a few of our familiar faces pop in.
Hello, Grimos.
The reason this has come up, the reason we're talking about this again is while we were having lunch on the final day of con, we were at Brazilian Steakhouse. We had Tex and a lot of the core folk there, all enjoying a meal. We'd gotten on to talking about writing. I'd gotten on to ranting about why this book is bad. And Tex made a really big mistake. For those of you who were not here, Tex has agreed to copy edit my next smut book.
Not the BattleTech rewrite.
Not the Chuck Tingle rewrite of the BattleTech romance, but one of the ones that I'm going to write myself. I had, by the time we landed for con, I had 3 books in mind that discussing the romance with Aiden has spawned. And then when we sat down to lunch, I now have a 4th one because Texas suggested The Real Housewives of Solaris 7. And I don't think I can resist that title. So it will be one of those. 4.
Like I will say, for anyone who, in the future, when the Real Housewives cultural phenomenon leaves, this book, that title of this book is going to be such an artifact that people are not going to understand.
It's
I
gonna
don't
be
understand
fun.
it right now.
Yes.
Am I in the future?
You might be. You might just be. So anyway, that's the con update. That is bad book update. That is our terrible stuff. We do actually need to do some work of our own today, because one of the other things I did at con that was nice and was able to share with everyone was talking about our compendium and the work that we've been doing. And there were quite a few people who were pretty impressed with, the fact that we've written nearly
amazing it
80.
is.
Yes. Yeah, that we've written nearly 80,000 words so far this year, that we're beginning our book. It was very cool to talk about it overall and show off some of the artwork that various people have done and the mechs. I had a good time. I especially had a good time talking to somebody who actually has a creative writing background and explaining Benny to them. And they also thought that Benny was great. So...
Well, they are.
Yes. So we're going to move over to actually doing show stuff now. I don't know whether you want to hang around Doctor Who, whether you want to go and...
I will. I will be a voice of insanity. I will sequester myself. I will let you guys do here, but I will. I will occasionally pop in and yell important chat things at you.
Yes, I will be paying
I will
attention to
chat
chat,
wrangle
as
for
I
you.
always
I will
am.
let you guys handle the show.
Okie dokie. Yes, Benny the Mighty, our first mech and our Shoaly cryptid. Yes, go
Is
use
Benny
the
mech, or
restroom.
is Benny the pilot?
Well, Benny is technically the hermit crab, but the two have kind of become synonymous at this point. If you talk to Benny, he's just going to tell you he's called Benny and be very confused when you try to differentiate both of them. But technically the mech is Furin, because it was the first of the Furin class of mechs, named after the real-life Benny's character Furin Sten, that Aiden remembers very fondly from the years that Benny was with us. So
I'm sure he's looking down and is laughing his ass off.
the
at
amount
this.
of shenanigans that we've gotten up to, I'm sure he'd be very proud of us. We have a chat message. I assume the Real Housewives of Solaris 7 is following Duncan Fisher's exes, exacting petty revenge. Probably. I have not sat down to think about what it will include as yet.
Oh god, we're going to... we are going to have to get George Ledoux to read the dust cover for this.
So there is some talk in another chat going on of the idea of radio dramas and the like and stuff. And I think it would be really fun if we got some good stuff written to like have audiobooks of stuff. And if we can get certain people involved in certain audiobooks, that would be really fun. Whichever book Tex copy edits, I would really love to have him voice like a minor character in the audiobook. Because that would be hilarious. I just think that would be funny. So yeah, anyway, Tex opened a can of worms, and you know, we're going to see how badly we can abuse it.
Hey, Pandora, that's a nice box you have there. Can I see what's inside?
Hope. And assorted fun.
Shenanigans in our caves. So that was
All right,
gone.
on
That was
to
gone.
good writing.
Yes. Last time we left off, we had just begun to bullet point out how we wanted our book to run. For anybody who was not here, we have decided that our very first book on Shoal is going to be kind of a pulp action adventure kind of book. We decided that we did want to have a prologue and that it would involve pirates and would involve a item being stowed that will become important later in the story. And then we started talking about our initial chapters and that we wanted to start with our human character at the departure point, Song Gorge, for our expedition as they're off on their way. And we've gone through some of that. So I can read through the bullet points to get us all back up to speed if you guys would like.
Has been about 2 weeks.
It has been about 2 weeks, so I think that would be a good idea. Let me just catch up on chat first, see if there's anything that I've missed before we start being useful. Also, how are you doing, Lictor? We kind of took over stream for a bit there.
It's okay. I have been in my own position redacted, and it kept me busy. I'm fine. I have been sitting down and creating things that you will find out about tomorrow.
Yeah, you said you've been talking to Corbin. My concern level is now at like a 15. It was at a 2.
Don't worry about it. Look, you've got cake. You've got nothing to worry about.
I did get cake.
You got 2 slices of cake. You
did.
have even less.
Would you like to tell
Speaking-
chat about what's been going on in our rogue
Speaking
trade
of
again?
cake, I have a rum cake that
Excellent.
I am going to nosh on.
Excellent. You should do that.
Okay. I mean, sure. You were instrumental in not being with the group at least for more than 5 seconds at a time. you literally scooched off at every point. It was amazing.
Yep.
So the group. How do I even begin to explain the fact that? Okay. How do I even explain you guys? No, Red, you have to explain at least a little bit of it.
Okay.
And how we kidnapped Aiden's sister into it.
Okay, so Lictor was like, hey guys, I'd like to run a game and would you like to play? And we were like, yes. And he was like, well, it's going to be basically Rogue Trader, but using a different rule set, not the Rogue Trader set. And it sounded really interesting. And Lictor took us through his creation process, which involves not just creating your own character, but also detailing the patron that you're all serving. And in this case, the ship that we're going to be serving on. So we came up with our Rogue Trader and we came up with the ship, and long story short, we are serving the Klappenheimer dynasty, and the ship is called the Pride of Klappenheim. And we had to establish some traditions and, you know, little things about the ship. And so for example, decided that the ship always smells faintly of cinnamon because there is a distribution system in the vents that, you know, makes everything smell just very faintly of cinnamon. It smells really nice. Aiden came up with the name of our Rogue Trader. All of these little things were going on. And we had to come up with, like, basically a festival that's on ship, something important on board ship. So between the group, including Lictor, it was decided that the captain's birthday is a big deal on the Pride of Klappenheim. And on the captain's birthday, not only does there have to be cake, But it's also traditional for the officers to attempt to steal the sacred lederhosen, which are a trophy the captain owns from a run-in with a different rogue trader in the past. These are a trophy pair of lederhosen. They are normally kept in the lederhosen vault near the captain's quarters, but when it comes up to his birthday, it's very important that everybody tries to get their hands on the lederhosen, and whoever has them at the birthday celebration gets an extra slice of cake.
This makes more sense than 90% of the Warhammer 40k lore that Games Workshop puts out officially.
Well, I'm playing the party penumbra, so like the sneaky, assassin-y character. So my whole thing with the initial sort of presentation of issues that we had was that I was going to be a team player. I was going to help. I was going to make sure that I was part of things, but I was also absolutely going to slope off and do sneaky assassin things and endeavor to find the lederhosen. And if I did, I was happy to share the extra slice of cake. The point was, I got the lederhosen. So whilst we're playing through the game, Lictor's got this very interesting thing going on where we've effectively got a sugar issue in the vents. We've been in warp for longer than we should have done. The birthday celebration, we don't have enough time to properly prepare for it. And the mushrooms that are normally involved in creating sugar and also in... what was the other thing that they did? The other breed of mushroom, Lictor? It's been 2 weeks and I drank a lot of alcohol in that time.
That is very good. Essentially, the ship had two different systems. One was using the mushrooms in order to cleanse the atmospheric generators.
That's it.
Because you guys have made the conscious decision to tell me that the Magos biologists of the ship are a bunch of fuckwits
Yes.
that will do anything to get the job done and care nothing for regulation or the safety of the menials.
Correct.
And I will tell you that in this group, Squeak is playing the tech priest, and he is the least qualified tech priest I could have found.
And yet,
in all ever.
and yet. So yeah,
Have
we'd
you
gone
seen your average tech priest?
Have you seen the average squick? So we'd been through warp. The mushrooms are basically sort of, commingled and formed a new super mushroom that was effectively caramelizing the vents and would eventually murder us all. So we had to sort this problem out. We also had to make sure that the birthday cake got made on time. It ended up being ice cream cake because we discovered that the mushrooms don't like the cold. So using cold stuff ended up being useful. So we had ice cream cake. And of course the lederhosen had to be secured and somebody had stolen them. And yeah, that was all.
And there was the duplicatum. And
Yes.
Squeak did get a gold star because he was a good
did.
boy. And the thing is, everything was up to code with 40k universe. That's the weird thing.
Yes.
Nothing was strictly out of universe. It was just about cake and sugar and
Yes.
rampant mushroom growth killing everyone.
Yep, and
As
for
a-
one of our sessions while this was going on, Aiden had to fly out for a funeral, and of course that meant that one of my sister-in-laws was there, and they were lodging together. So Aiden's like, well, they're playing a game, and I want to join in, and you should join too. And then we had two tech priests.
Oh no.
They're not tech priests.
Oh, you're right, she's not. She's an admech. That's right.
She's not an admech. She's an adept. She's
Adept,
just a
thank
bookie.
you. As I said, I've drunk a
She's-
lot of alcohol in the last week, and I don't think it's worn off yet.
That is wonderful. So she is playing the bookkeep, and
Yes.
we've got the muscle wizard. We have the catacomb psyker.
Yes, who...
Who?
Go on.
I cast fist with my mind.
Oh no, it got worse.
Yes.
It got dumber.
It got more stupid because for shits and giggles, he rolled to see if he can lift the weights in the gym with his mind, and he rolled so well he made the entire room float.
He was lifting the lifting equipment.
And he just did curl ups and burpees, and we have invented the cult of the holy burpee.
Yes.
Also, the catechans took a note out of the Custodes book, and they were so oiled up that the mushrooms could not touch them.
Yep.
That happened
Yeah.
That was backed up by rolls. They rolled for it and they succeeded.
The best part about all of this was there was a really simple solution we could have followed that we didn't. We have Kroot on board. We could have literally just fed all of the problem to the Kroot. But Lictor had a plan for that, and I'm kind of glad we didn't.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, when we created the ship, we rolled a set of numbers.
We did.
And apparently there's a Kroot shaperate with her brood on the ship, has an amazing and impeccable sense of timing, but a terrible sense of direction.
Yes. There's
And
also
you
Steve
can-
Human, who is definitely human.
Yes, we have Steve Human on board.
Yeah, we haven't run into him yet, but we will at some point, so
If I ever get involved with a Warhammer, with a 40k tabletop game, I want to play an Ogren.
We have one of those. He works
You
for
have.
John Military, the head of the head of SEC.
Yes.
I just personally want to play the big raging teddy bear.
That's the thing. Cobb is not a raging teddy bear.
No.
Also, Cobb is a bonehead, and I've done the math.
Oh, he
on
can
what
count to
bone-
10.
This guy has has intelligence of 70. If
For
you
an
know
Ogren?
Yeah.
you can get to 70 with an Ogren.
Oh my.
Yeah.
He
Exactly.
can count to 20.
Which is yes, and to do, but he can do that in binary.
So yeah, we've been having fun in the Rogue Trader game, and unfortunately, Lictor has decided he needs to talk to Corbin about something. We also have wrestling. Wrestling is also
yeah.
a thing on the ship.
Oh yes, oh yes, yes. The captain is watching Dark Eldar death matches with the same. How do I even describe it? With the same glee of a wrestling fan.
Yes.
And
this happened because I decided that would be a quirk of my character. So she and the captain watch Dark Eldar wrestling.
Yes, and there's a session I've already named down the line named Never Meet Your Heroes.
Oh no. That really concerns me because I keep saying that my character has a poster of Duke Sliskus in the back of her locker that has to be hidden during inspection, so now I'm really concerned.
I worried. Of course not.
Oh, no.
Everything's going to be fine.
Oh no.
Everything. Look, all I'm saying is if you do it correctly, you might actually get one of these super secret, highly sought after lost tapes from Gamora directly.
Ooh,
The ones that the captains is looking for.
amazing.
Those of you who do not know about the tape trade of wrestling matches, back when they imported all the weird shit from Japan in the 70s and the 80s, you had an entire underground sort of a trade between people about the best matches, and they tried to find a way not to make copies to keep their value up. So you just had to find those matches and like trading card games. So it's about the same thing, but with Gamora level cruelty and Dark Eldar.
I'm excited.
And
I will probably
there's-
die horribly, but I'm excited.
dying horribly is your job.
I know.
Everything else is a bonus.
Yes, and I did get extra cake, so I've already won this game.
You have cake and a shock mall.
I did get a shock mall out of it. I did
So,
get a shock.
speaking of 2 weeks and lots of alcohol,
Yes.
befuddling
Yes.
minds, recap of what we have bulleted so far?
Yes, we are now 10 minutes past the hour and should probably do useful stuff. But yeah, Lictor does cool
Hey,
stuff
this is
too.
the BPL. When do we do useful things?
We've done
the
amazingly
time.
useful things. It was really nice while I was away to be able to sort of show people the compendium we're at. People are like, you did this over Twitch? And I'm like, yes, it's all chat's fault, but also we have the best chat in the world, and also I'm not to blame for anything, and can I have another drink now, please? It
Yes,
was great.
what would you like?
Oh man, poor Parallax.
I drank. Yeah, so Parallax turned up, having been stuck in Corpus Christi for work reasons prior to joining us. And I mentioned that there was a pool at the compound that we were enjoying very much, and the pool was cold. And Parallax hurled himself in the pool to come and talk to me, because that's where I was at, and then promptly drank an entire bottle of Kentucky bourbon without realizing just, how drunk he was getting because the water was so cold. And in cold water, you get drunk from the toenails up. So it's not until you leave the water and stand up that you suddenly realize, oh dear, I am extremely drunk.
Drinking alcohol to warm yourself up does not work.
So that was fun.
He had an evening.
He did. He was fine though, and was one of the easiest drunks to care for, which was absolutely fine.
So you guys know, if he didn't tell that story at the Merrick workshop, bother him with that next week, chat.
Yes.
That is your mission.
We have an
Yes.
Ilsu. Hello, Ilsu.
Hello. So we had that going on, but it was just really nice to show people the compendium. Be like, yes, we made this over Twitch, and yes, this is a thing that's doing, and yes, we are going to write a book over Twitch because I'm insane, and so is chat, and everything is their fault. And then there were more drinks. I showed people Desir Royales, so I don't like Kir Royales as much because they have champagne, and I'm not as keen on champagne. But I do love me some berry liqueur, and I do love me some Asti. So when we got married,
Lady Red,
yes.
Lady Red.
Yes.
How was the Malort?
It was not that bad. I mean, it wasn't good. I'd never go out and be like, yes, I would like some Malort, please. But, everyone's bigged it up, and you have to have your Malort as part of, being part of the Legion and at a meetup. So I was like, I haven't had Malort yet. Give me Malort. And there was barrel-aged Malort, and there was normal Malort. And Ether was like, well,
and now that you have taken it, now that you have taken it, and have determined that it doesn't affect you as much, you are now contractually obligated to inflict Malort on as many people around you as you can.
Yeah, I'm sure that will happen. But yeah, Ether poured it, and he was like, you need to have the basic one first. I was like, fine, I will do that. And he poured me a shot, and I can't remember who else was having their first shot at the same time. And, I threw it back and swallowed it. It was like, yeah, that's bad. But it's not like Malort bad that I was expecting. After hearing all the ways people had described it, it was like the liquid remnants of a ashtray, and I was like, it's just an alcohol that doesn't taste very nice. It really wasn't that big a deal. I was kind of annoyed by how not terrible it was. It needed to be more terrible. So yeah, that was that.
We shall find you something. Don't worry.
But I did take around bottles, big magnum bottles of Asti and bottles of raspberry liqueur, and was throwing that at people. And everyone was like, alcoholic raspberry. And quite a few people had quite a few drinks. It was lovely. It was very, very nice.
All right, recap.
Recap time. Right. So where we had gotten to 2 weeks ago when we were last being productive individuals, we had decided that we were going to have a prologue, that our prologue would open with action, and that we would start with a pirate raiding party getting struck by a weapon. We haven't decided what the weapon is yet. And that the raiding pirate fleet is fleeing an armed group from behind them. Our pirate that we're following swears, points out the faint, worn-down spires of a nearby reef outcropping for shelter. As the group descends into the spires to hide, we, the audience, realise it's the top of an abandoned city. One of the fleeing pirates murmurs some legend about the place being haunted and that they shouldn't go there. Another member of the group complains that they need somewhere to put down the very important thing they're carrying, and the decision that we made by poll was that it would be a Temps coral / bronze coral archive. So this is, like the village wisdom of the past. They've stolen it because Temps coral is very valuable. That's what they're carrying, but, it's going to be quite a big archive. They need to put it down and treat their wounded. So that's why they're going to go here, and they're going to hide the item. Another shot from the pursuing group makes up their mind for them. They descend into the city, find a nook to hide the item, and in doing so stir up a particularly virulent wave of absence algae. The pursuing group halts at the edge of the city and withdraws, which, that's a little bit strange that they wouldn't pursue for this very important item. The pirates laugh it off, thinking that the locals are just scared of the horror story. They bed down for the night, And they never wake up again because of the algae that they've stirred up. The absence in this area is particularly virulent because, of course, we know that that's the issue with this area. So that was going to be our prologue.
Yes.
We were then going to move into our opening chapter, which starts with our human character, Jake, in his personal hab environment, getting the call that the expedition he's part of is ready to move out within the hour. Are we going to start by seeing Jake packing the last of his things onto his pressure suit and into his travel trunk? And that gives us a chance for us to have a brief reflection on why he is here, who he is, his area of expertise, etc. As he moves...
There has to be a photo of his college, of like his college research team that he tucks away in a very important pocket.
That would
There's
certainly
that,
work for doing that.
And his familiar.
Yes, yeah. Okay, let me
That-
put a note in here to make sure we remember that then. Photo
I'm sorry.
of his college research team. Introduction to his familiar. Okay, as he's moving his trunk to the moon pool to be loaded onto the library Titan, which will be the Temple Guardian Titan, Umi, our Latical character and mentor character, pops in and they have an initial discussion. This gives the audience a chance to see a Latical up close and begin sort of understanding the weirdness that is SHOAL and its peoples. We'll have a discussion of protocols, expedition plans revealed for audience benefit, and then there's a disruption outside. Jake hurries into his suit and follows after Umi to see what's up. The disruption could be because of Jake's presence, maybe people taking photos. We head outside into a marketplace disturbance scene. This is the combat city, so duels are common. Umi encourages Jake to collapse his hab down and get his trunk onto the library Titan. You know, it would be best if they left. We get to see...
Is this going to be where Benny shows up?
No, we have Benny in here already. You'll know when we get to him. We
Okay.
see the Titan and the Tide Warden Titan arriving. This breaks up the dispute in the marketplace, lets the audience see the awe and might of the Titans in action for the first time, and Jake joins the party for the next steps. The expedition moves out quite quickly, in part not to be part of any extended trouble in town, and in part because they need to make sure they make their rendezvous with the travelling fleet city. Which one are they travelling with? The Gleamwake migratory city.
Yes.
Yeah, because it sure as fuck won't wait for them. Once they are en route, we get a chance to see our cast of characters, so not just Umi and Jake, but all of the other people that are involved. And Umi explains not just who Jabra, our former pirate crab lady, is, but why she's been hired. She was hired in Song Gorge, and the party started on the upper edges of Song Gorge in the trade and passing through district, just so we don't have to come all the way up from the abyssal depths for the next story beat, only to go all the way back down again. We wanted to use that idea of going from shallow to deep as the story deepens, light to dark as the story deepens. So that's why they're starting out in the upper reaches of Song Gorge, not its depths. And we decided that in this phase of the book that we were going to be near the surface of the ocean in lambent season, so we do have sunshine. The group meets up with the migratory fleet and stows its gears. Titans and personnel on board for a 2-day journey with the fleet. Tension and character interactions are shown through distrust of the fleet when Jabra comes on board because former pirate. Careful rules and regulations are in place for where the group is allowed to go. Umi will head off with the library guardian to check the supplies they've arranged to get from the fleet while here, and this leaves Jake with some free time to explore the open areas of the fleet and bond with Hordaka, who is our young Tide Warden pilot. There'll be maybe some initial discussion of the Titans in this section. Our one event that happens of significance during this transitory prose is that Benny is parked on the fleet at present. He's noticed by Jake, who sadly has no idea the relevance, so we describe Benny in passing, but maybe this gets called back to later.
Excellent.
The expedition gathers for a pep talk from Umi as they prepare to decouple from the fleet and begin their descent. Mags, who is our Temple Guardian pilot, gives a brief talk on the place they are going to and the expected issues. This should be short and sweet in the vein of Ripley talking to the Marines and aliens. So you have that brief scene in Aliens where Ripley's sort of talking about, you know, this is what we're going into, and you have, oh god, name's gone out of my head. the female Marine, who's, you know, not particularly impressed. But that's like, sort of like a very brief back and forth of what they're going into to expect. We want it to be that kind of short, sharp, and choppy. The group saddles up and begins their descent to the Lost City, and the key points here will focus on the fact that the party mostly tethers to the Titans, and the manner of propulsion and speed of descent is, you know, very Titan-based. So that will give us a really good chance to explore how Shoal works and what it's like operating underwater as normal. Strong theme of light fading as they get deeper, and the potential here for someone on the expedition crew to tell a creepy story as they travel. Possibly a Benny story, we hadn't decided on that. That was where we'd gotten for our story beats. We'd made some additional notes that I've got underneath. That one of the things we wanted to pay attention to was that Jake would be useful to the expedition and in the city because he's not attuned to the main song of Shoal. So once they arrive, he instead locks onto the city song, and that helps them find the active area. It's not a planned usefulness. That's not why he's being brought along. It's just something that's discovered once they're there.
Perhaps.
Yep.
Idea like perhaps it just had a thought that popped into my head. Perhaps like a scene that shows that like he isn't attuned to like the main song is like he bumps into people. And then he notices that like despite like the market being crowded, everyone is like, even without like looking at them, is avoiding each other because they can hear each other's song.
What I thought we might do for that is like something that's much more subtle and human.
Hear the song.
Well, he can hear it. He's just not naturally attuned to it, so that he's, you know, kind of listening to it all the time. What I thought might be interesting for bringing it across is that he keeps checking his watch for the time. The Shoalie never do this because they're attuned to the background hum. They always know what the time is. They never need to check, you know, what time is it right now.
That is clever.
Yeah, I thought that might be quite a good way of sort of showing that difference with Jake, and that's a very human thing that the audience can connect with.
And then that leads into one of the Shoalie characters being like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Oh, checking my watch, checking the time."
Why? Yeah. We also made the note that Hordaka and Jabra come into their first true conflict when Hordaka notices that Jabra's trinket is a part of a Tidewarden cockpit core, which sparks a massive argument between them. And that's based on the character creation we did a couple of weeks ago, where we were thinking about, you know, the interplay between our characters, things that are important to them. Jabra has a trophy from the first Titan that she killed. And obviously that's going to set Hordaka off when that starts becoming a thing between them. And this is why we do in-depth character development, is, you know, it gives us these little things to use. When shit hits the fan, we made the note that Jake should have a period of panic about surviving as his Habal suit has issues. He is aided in staying calm enough to save his own life by his AI familiar and possibly an ASP light system that he has with him. We really wanted to play on that whole, you know, human fear of drowning, etc. Jake and maybe some others have to find refuge inside the hollowed out core of an old Temp's exterior pillar. They can hear the ghosts of the information that was once contained here. So one of the other things we did the last time we gathered was we were talking about our city, and I'll flick over to those notes in a minute because I do think we need to have a refresher on that too. We also decided that in the denouement, a consideration should be given to the fact that had the team not caused and then solved the problem would have happened eventually anyway when the systems failed. Without people there to see it, no one would have known until it was too late. So the issues that come up in our book were a blessing in disguise. So although we're going to put our characters through a little bit of hell, and we know not everybody's going to survive and everybody's going to walk away having paid a price, we did still want to sort of bring in that element of this was still a blessing in disguise, and that's something, you know, that could be used for characters as they go forwards to help them cope with it. So that was where we got with our planning. We did start having a look at our city. So here are the notes on the city. We decided that our city would be named Chorax. That was something that we decided by vote. And it's a city that was lost to silence before the Forge Wars. So this is quite an old city. We decided that it would be a Cephalonid predominated city back when it was still operational, and that abyssal cephalinids of greater size lived here. They had a good relationship with Archaea in the area, and that explains the wide open and vaulted spaces we wanted to have in the city.
The Archaea are the
shark people,
and,
yeah, they're the shark
the
Salacians.
shark and whale people with the symbiote
So
arms.
the Salacians is the name for the group. The Archaea is the shark type of them. The Phison is the whale type of them. So it was the local shark people. We decided.
Exactly. They do have a breakdown inside their own physiognomy, so
Yes.
they have specific names.
Yep. I'm going to catch up on chat briefly because I've been talking quite a lot, and sip my drink and see if I've missed anything.
Yep.
Something about wormwood, Navy strength rum. I think Ed Gauss is talking about a short video or something when we were talking about the photo for the Jake's college photo.
Someone start brewing a more terrible liquor for Lady Red. I mean, don't feel obligated. But yes, I was upset Malort wasn't nearly as bad as I was led to believe it would be. I have also had proper wormwood absinthe. It's very nice. I didn't find it that unpleasant. But yeah, it's a unique thing. It is a very unique thing.
Polygoth says, we have stepped on a landmine, but we've discovered the minefield.
That reminds me that one time I drove an APC into a minefield.
Lictor, no! Don't do that!
I only did it once.
There's a story
that does sound like the thing that you would only do once.
There is a story that Aiden was told by his brother from days in the Marine Corps of the lieutenant that accidentally invaded Syria for 5 minutes until they took the compass off of him and drove back. So, you know.
I made no such mistake.
Is this is like the initial exploration of the city, or is it going to be taking refuge in the Temps Coral with the ghost of the information when Jake makes the comment about this city feels like a ghost? Well, that's because it is, Jake.
That will definitely come up at some point, but I think that will be a case of we'll know when that needs to be said, when the time feels right, when we're actually writing prose. That will make itself known.
Fair enough.
All right, what else have we decided about?
I still think that is a very good
Yes.
line.
Oh, it absolutely is. It absolutely is. And I think I've got that in the, notes page of lines to include, ideas to include.
I remember yelling at you.
Yeah.
It's just like, Lady Red, we need this in the book.
Remember, children, always have a section in your file, whether it's Scrivener or you use another program, where you just write down those little thoughts, because they're easy to forget and you'll regret it when you can't remember it later. All right, what else have we decided about our city? We decided it would have a lot of verticality. There would be a temple plaza full of dead coral and a ghostly atmosphere. It could be misty from either drifting coral dust and sediment or from a natural viscousness in the water. We knew that there would be a ruined barracks, that this city predates true Titans, but the old tech and defensive elements in here should still be interesting in how they dealt with threats prior to Titan evolution. So this would be, how were Leviathans dealt with before you had the Tide Wardens and the
surely siege weapons and artillery.
Yes, which could be useful for later in our story. We knew that we'd have an area that still has active coral. The outer regions of the city can very faintly hear the coral, and it comes across as ghost whispers. The deeper you go, the more resonant the coral gets, but it always sounds like the memory of the city and not part of the normal modern song. So the coral that is alive in the city isn't connected to the modern song. It's deliberately going to be creepy.
Have you ever... You're British.
I'm sorry.
I am going to reference. I'm just having a deep cut.
Mm-hmm.
Douglas Adams, book 4.
Mm-hmm.
When Arthur Dent is stranded on that planet with the perfectly
beasts.
normal beasts, and he is Bob's holy sandwich maker.
Yes.
Yes.
You recall how in the debris field of the space liner, how all of the commercial holograms are still active.
Mm-hmm.
That to me is kind of how this feels. It's just like random memories and snippets that of an old time, completely ignoring the passage of time and the context around it. It's just like, here's what happened. Here is an advertisement for atomic teeth whitening.
I mean, I don't think we'd pull quite the sort of slight comedic element to that, but pulling from things like the memories that remain are things like the festivals, and they're festivals that don't match the modern ones. A good person to pull in for that could be, if we do go down that, is asking Eric, because he's got the gods that are dead and have been replaced by different ones. If we had the memory of, you know, building up to a festival for one of the gods that's now dead, that could be really haunting.
Ooh, yes.
I'm just having the idea of Jake dealing with the viscerality of a cephalid memory that he has to work through.
The feeling of having limbs he doesn't have, that move in ways that his limbs can't move, would be very weird.
And the emotions of chromatophores changing on his face as his reactions are translated to color and luminosity and wavelengths he doesn't know exist and could not perceive up until now.
That will be very fun.
He is definitely going to throw up in his helmet.
Yep. How many hands do you think you have, Mr. Anderson?
Too many! All right, what else have we made notes of on our city? The city predates the Forge Wars and is partly of interest because it may have lost information on that tumultuous time. I mean, if we go down the route as well of the memory of religious ceremonies that aren't observed anymore, that could also be of interest. The city is decorated in older styles and forms where decoration manages to survive, which makes the whole place feel eerie and strange to the Shoalie, even more so than it does to Jake. But of course for Jake, we've just discovered it's going to be weird for him because he's having memories in cephalinid, and he's human. Due to the presence...
Question.
Yes.
Architectural.
Yes.
It's made out of stone? And what else?
I don't think we'd quite made that decision last week. Let me finish going through what we've got, and then we can start making additional notes on what we think we need the city to have.
Good.
Due to the presence of silence, even if the silence isn't active in the outskirts and less disturbed, the city feels a lot colder than it really is. Temperature readings do not match people's personal feelings. Lighting in the city persists as it is a life form that still lives here. It is psionically inert fungal form. Whole bulbs emit yellow warm light in maturity from bioluminescence. Here, though, the presence of silence has affected what the fungus feeds on and has turned their light to a strange and eerie white blue, tinged with a very slight green. Feels very creepy and wrong. The light is hazy even when sediment isn't being disturbed. So the light remains because, you know, the silence can't feed on it. It's psionically inactive, but it's now eating different things because all the psionically active stuff has been consumed. Hence our weird light problem. The city is a deep ocean location. It is nestled against a series of small and active volcanic vents that spew nutrients the coral here once thrived on. The vents persist, but the city does not. The city was founded on Temp's coral presence. The city evolved to use the coral here differently to normal. Due to how spread out the reef chunks are in this area and how volcanic nutrient flows in the water, the original inhabitants established towering Temps nodes that reached up like pillars around the outskirts of the city in a great circle. These nodes were connected to a central spindle in the middle of the city that acted as the central repository for each of the outlying nodes. It is this central node which still has some small life in it. The dogs are very upset by this. Excuse you! But the towering remains of the dead outer nodes give the city a unique and foreboding appearance no matter how you approach it.
Requires redeeming.
Previous non-bank funded expeditions and gold-seeking crews have ventured here and never returned. Some of their equipment might be useful to our story. That was where we got to, so yes, we do need to decide what the city is made from.
If I may,
Go
really
for it.
quick.
Sure.
Hey, Arxo, that is a good idea. Yes, as Lichter said, we have a public Discord in which we discuss many of the background lore blurbs of the setting. If you are not already in the Aux, please join the Aux. Come find that channel, which is named
General Shenanigans. It is in the
and
creative writing section.
and many of our wonderful people here would be happy to help expand upon Sholi alcohol.
If we can make 30 war crimes, we can make 100 Shoaly drinks.
We did come up with food and drink. It's not in the main compendium as yet because I've been away for a week. But the compendium will continue to grow, and of course, the intention next year is to finish it.
I think we have a quote about that: 2 weeks and lots of alcohol.
Yes, I did drink
Yes.
quite a bit of alcohol. I drank more in that week than I have done in the entire rest of the year combined. But it was fun. Right, we were on our lost city. All right, what do we want our city to be made of?
Well, as our esteemed colleagues had said, stone is what we got, but the question is, what do we have more? And the answer is either resin that is semi-translucent, that I imagine that the cephalids have used quite a bit.
I have a thought.
Something. Oh no.
I have a thought.
Another one?
Yes, I know. 2 in 1 day. Shoot me. I'm thinking, we're talking about a volcanic area here that sediments come out and they can be nutritious. But what if we had layered sedimentary rock, because it's a sedimentary area, reinforced with resin by the local population. This will give the city an interesting coloured banded look to the structures and allow our team to determine the age of certain structures based on this.
Wilf also mentioned like the stone and sand is pretty much concrete and but concrete is kind of like a very, very technology, even by Earth standards. Like we still have Roman highways and aqueducts that are still standing.
Yeah, no,
It's
and
true.
you can make it set on. You can make it set underwater if you understand your mechanics correctly. What I'm suggesting is also since it's resin and sediment and fiber used, there's fibers entombed into the resin, and these fibers could be bioluminescent still.
Okay.
And now we have glowing portions of the city, and the closer vents of semi-translucent resin in the city. Yeah, I mean, kelp can be made into fibers, and if you know your biotech correctly, and again, these are ancient cephalinids that had time and no access to ferro-based construction.
No, absolutely no metal in this construction at all.
Exactly. So they needed something else that would give tensile strength to their concrete. And you can't put inside. It's not like the Colosseum where they had beams of iron inside a concrete. You have to have something else. Well, what do they have? Fibrous, very strong kelp-like material.
Suggestion. We mentioned that there's volcanic vents here, right?
Plenty.
Are some of these Temps node spires? Could some of these spires have been built on top of these vents, because that's where like a large concentration of Temps coral was found.
It would make sense for them to, either naturally be there or to be cultivated there, because that's where the food that the coral feeds on is being vented out. So yes,
Because oceanic thermal vents are absolute diverse biomes underwater, like deep where light doesn't show in real life.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. No.
I'm
100%.
just kind of imagining these constructions like the gas vents in StarCraft.
yeah,
You're not. You're at least visually. You're imagining what I'm thinking. What I'm thinking is that the city is essentially a series of towers. Each tower is constructed around a vent that is either naturally occurring or cultivated, and each tower has those outcroppings out of it, like shelf mushrooms, that are the holding points to what the cephalinids are using as living spaces and storage spaces and whatnots. And how high you go essentially determines how cold or hot you are, because the distance from you and the vent says how cold or hot your environment is. Now, these are deep cephalinids. They sleep where they're hot, but they need to vent off the heat and move outside and in between these towers.
So these towers could also be sleeping chambers.
They are sleeping. Well, not inside of them, but yes, around them. Like, have you never seen bats on a chimney in a cold winter night?
yes. So one of the other notes I've just made is that at some point in the story, we should have the volcanism of the area be relevant to a dynamic action scene, because if you've got volcanic heat rising up, that's going to give you buoyancy differences, etc. So we should use that at some point to either solve a problem or escape a threat. I think that could be really interesting visually.
Yeah. Buoyancy, salinity, concentration of metals in the water. Anything you can think about that. If you want to create an explosion of sediment from a pocket in a pocket of hot air, hot water compressed under a layer of faulty resin, turning into an underwater bomb that can topple an entire tower on top of someone.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
if we're having a movie in a city made out of ancient towers built on the volcano, and we're not dropping a tower on no one's head, what are we even doing here?
No, absolutely.
What we could do is, if we do that at some point, maybe that's what unveils where the archive was hidden from our prologue. Our team recovers it, because I don't want to have the thing of, and then they bumbled into the well-hidden thing, because it's just convenient at the minute.
You talked about this during many of our rants about the BattleTech book. Everything that is mentioned in a book needs to be at some point relevant to advancing the story.
Yes, the very important book advice I'm always yelling at people of, things mean things.
Arxo, we have talked about how the light here feels different. The bioluminescent coral and what light does filter through the surface does give it a very ethereal feel. But yes, like absolutely, there's going to be notes and interactions in here where it's like, oh, this sediment has not been disturbed in so many years. Of course, the bioluminescent light and the light filtering in gets really dim or weird for a little bit as the water needs to settle.
Wilf has also said something that's very, very, very relevant for books. The special effects budget for prose is unlimited.
Indeed. It's only limited by the money you put into your imagination.
Yes, and making it into movie form is the problem of the movie makers years down the line, not us writing it right now.
the collapsing tower could have been made as a trap by the pirates to protect themselves and the treasure.
If we do that, yeah, or if it gets blown up by accident during the course of other things, we could certainly take that in either direction.
I mean, okay. Anybody, the brittleness of surfaces created by superheated sediment, like Jake specifically, can just step onto a sediment and have his leg thrust into a heated vent underfoot, because you've been to hot springs with high mineral contents.
Yep.
You've seen the sorts of patina they create.
It's a good thing he's wearing an enviro suit.
I mean, just the thing I'm trying to say.
Oh, I've lost you. Have I lost you, or has my internet just crashed? Uh-oh, I think my net has crashed. Okay, so have I just lost Discord then? What is happening? Where are my co-hosts? Where'd they go? It's Discord having an issue. I can see Lictor is talking, but I cannot hear Lictor. Okay, I'm going to close Discord and restart it, and we will see what happens. I'm just glad I'm still here, and it's not my internet this time. Okay, what is going on? Hello? Alright, it says I have things set to the right thing, but Discord is having an issue. Oh boy. Yes, Discord is literally having an issue. It's telling me that I am not connected to Discord right now, and I do not know why. So we're going to fully close out Discord. We're going to try rebooting it and see what happens. Because you guys are hearing Doctor Who and Lictor through Discord, but you're hearing me directly through OBS, so... Alright, let's take a look. Return to the studio. Hello! Hello, I can hear you guys now, and hopefully now chat will be able to hear you again too. I now need to fix Discord on chat, on OBS, because, of course, give me a second, I will fix that, and then they will be able to hear you too. Right, where is... Oh my goodness. How do I adjust this? I will need to go. Alright, things might look a bit screwy for a minute. Just bear with me. Alright, where Discord? Where Discord? Has that fixed it? There we go. That has fixed it. Come back to our main scene.
Hello, hello, chat.
And
this
hopefully,
is
there we
Doctor
go.
Who and Lictor.
There we go. Things
Hello.
are now back on screen, and we have our peoples again. So this time it wasn't OBS fucking up. It wasn't the internet dying. Discord did it. This week it was Discord. Comms restored.
We paid our phone bill. Get off our back, Comstar. Stop interdicting us.
Oh,
I think part of the conversation that Lictor and I had was about Jake breaking through sediment somehow.
Yes.
And, like, at least he's wearing an enviro suit or something.
Yes, that was where everything then went bleh.
And then I'm just like, oh, we are at 45 minutes. We're at 15 till. What happens in chapter 2?
Well, I think that's what we need to get to, is back to where we're going to go with our story from there. So where we'd left off with our bullet pointing was that we had our dudes descending. So I think from there, that will probably lead us into our next section, which might end up being a chapter. We won't worry about where the chapter lines are until we're actually writing prose. But I think after we've got to our point where they're doing their descent, they've maybe had a creepy story, we need our first look at the city as they arrive.
Right.
We've done a very good job of describing the city so far.
Yeah, grand sweeping look at the city as the expedition arrives. I think we should move then into an initial look around the outskirts, analysis.
Is this city on some sort of oceanic ridge? Perhaps
No.
perhaps lending it to all of the volcanism.
I mean, we've just got volcanism everywhere, so we don't necessarily have to have it be on a very sharp and defined plate edge. This could be like with, say, Hawaii, where it's just on a thin part of the plate and you get volcanism. The
Fair
area
enough.
that we've got it in, when we're looking at Gleam Wake on the map, I was thinking what we need to do is to have it like somewhere around that sort of middle of the thin part of the migration, because we know that we want the city
In between
to be...
the E and the M, yeah.
Yeah, because we know we want the city to be making its way back by the time that the problem has happened, which puts the city in danger, etc., etc. So I don't think we're going to be on a plate edge. I think we're going to be on like a thin part of the crust more than anything. But I think story-wise, we'll need to have the team have an initial look around the outskirts, analysis of the local environment, and acknowledgement of the presence of quiet. Initial establishing of their campsite, and then they should be notice movement in the nearby area. And it turns out to be the Arkir girl from the local village. And that would let us tie back into our prologue. If we are careful with our prologue, where our dudes bed down for the night and we don't make it clear that they die, once we get to this point in the story, that brings back that, oh, is this why the prologue is important? Is this the pirates? Is there going to be a raid? And then it isn't, and it's the Arkir girl from the village, and she then maybe tells them about the fact that there were pirates in the area, so when they find it later, maybe we play with that at that point. I think that would work quite well.
Is she here as some sort of like chronicler or like record keeper, or is she just a village girl who is just like, hey, you guys stole from me, and
I know when we were
wants to
talking
return
about
it?
things originally, one of the things that we wanted to play with in this story was the concept of, titans, and the titans are kind of a world changer, and the original idea was that the village doesn't really have titans, it doesn't have much truck with them. But the shark girl is very curious about the strangers with their titans, so it could just be that she's seen them descending, and she's the one that's brave. She's so keen to know more about these giant mechs that she's willing to go that little bit further than the do not cross line that the village has established around the old city.
Ooh,
Can I have a question?
Of course.
there's a cultural taboo line.
Yes.
Remind me, one of the titans in the group is a paragon. Not all of them, but at least one of the three is a paragon.
I mean,
library
both
titan,
both
yes.
of them are awakened paragons, but the library titan is a much more advanced one. If I open up the compendium with our titan types, we can remind ourselves what we decided last time round. Give me a moment to find those notes.
I'm having a thought that she is having that she has, and pardon me for being cliche, but she took a single look at the warrior titan, not the librarian titan, and looked at it. And it was designed. I think that one was of a ceratinoid design. The Tide Warden.
Yep.
And she takes a single look at it and says, I like this one, and wants to talk with it. And that gives us a perfect in with the gregarious dude, absolute dude, gregarious guy who's piloting that.
That's a good idea.
Titan.
Absolutely loves talking about titans.
Exactly. And there's an Archer lady whom he has no idea who she is, but she's curious about the one one thing in the world he will not shut up about.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. So we decided with our Titans that they had several levels of resonance. You had basic, which are non-Paragon Titans that don't have a personality on board. We have awakened.
I think we might be having internet issues.
Are we? Oh, that
Tired
happens
German gave us
sometimes.
static.
Yeah, that's happens sometimes. It will be, unfortunately, you guys, but not me. But it will clear up by itself. It's a OBS, Twitch, Discord thing that unfortunately we can't do anything about. But no, stream is still live, which is the only part I care about. We can solve all other problems, either with time or hitting things with wrenches.
Okay.
We had
basic non-awakened.
Yeah, basic are not awakened. They don't have personalities. Awakened are our Paragon Titans that do have their own personalities. And we had decided that our Tide Warden is a newly awakened Paragon. And this is one of his first expeditions that isn't just, Tide Warden patrol bitch duty on the Silver Current. We then have the Principals Titans, which are aged or extremely psionically powerful Titans with complex personalities. That's where our Library Titan is at the beginning of the story. And then you have your Chimeric Titans, which have more than one Temps Coral core and a threaded personality that's had other awakened elements grafted into it, and that's what our Library Warden will become after the end of the story, because only part of its matrix is recovered when that Titan perishes and is taken back with us and is grafted into one of the other extant Titans. So that's what we were looking at there. All right, where was our storyline? Okay, so it's an Archaea girl from the local village. She is very taken with the young Tide Warden mech and just wants to talk to it despite the taboo from her village.
And the taboo is getting close to the city, not talking with the mech.
Yeah, from the village about going too close to the city. She makes quick friends with Hordaka. This will lead to minor conflict when her father comes looking for her.
Of course.
Yep, father warns the group about the troubles around the city, tells them
this is an interesting lens into local legends and perhaps like ancient stories about like the doom of this city.
Yeah, but we're not going to go down that complete trope of, oh, you're all going to die and we hate you outsiders, you must never come near us. But we will go down the line of, yeah, you guys probably really shouldn't be here. We have this for a reason. Don't get my daughter into trouble. However, if you are determined to stay, our archive was stolen from us. If you see it, let us know.
Absolutely. Yes.
And I'm going to put in commas here. We wish to avoid the doomsayer trope.
We had some we had some other outsiders come through, and they weren't quite as friendly as you are right now. Blah blah blah.
Yeah. Okay. So that gives us that. That gives us our shark girl. Where do we want the story to go from there? Let's see what chat's saying. Reasonable worried father.
Yeah.
Yes. And if you die, at least it's not us. Yep. Hello, Ramshackle. Welcome in. Crazy things have been going on. We spent the first hour talking about con, and now we're trying to be useful. Also, Texas agreed to copy edit my next smut book, so that's a thing. Welcome to the stream.
The Real Housewives of Solaris 7.
It might be that one. It might be one of the other three that I'm
Oh my god!
considering.
When you write this, we do need to get George Ledoux to do the audiobook for it.
That would be very fun. That would be a very, very cool thing to do. Anyway, you wrote smut books. I haven't written them yet, but I'm gonna. I don't normally dip into the romance genre, but we've done a lot of yelling about romance books, and I've been yelling.
She is going to rage rewrite the BattleTech smut book.
Yes, because spite is my motivating emotion. But I've spent like 5, 6 years just ranting at the romance genre at this point, whether it's to my book club or whether it's, been on streams and etc. once the Legion foolishly picked me up. It's
So yes,
probably time,
chat.
I wrote some of my own and put my money where my mouth is.
So, chat, ostensibly, you're writing this with us.
Yup.
Where do we go from here? Any suggestions
right, our
for what
sensible
the
book.
party does in the what the party does in this ancient city
Yes, I would
after
love to see.
Father gives a warning of pirates?
Love to see what chat would like to see happen next, or events that you want to have occur that we might need to put some stuff in to get us to there. But please do. This is our communal book.
Would
Isn't this about time we start revealing the real problems? I mean, the city is dead, and it's nigh on time we start having real problems, not just personal problems. And
What is the library is Mags like trying to interface with the choral and trying to get readings from it to record in the
I have an
in the
idea.
Titan?
I have an idea.
Yes.
All right. I'm going to start it as a new section because I suspect this is roughly where a chapter will happen, but we'll see. So, that night, the group discusses in brief what they know so far and the info from the Father Arkir. As
German, that feels a bit too contrived.
As a result, they decide to be extra careful about setting a night watch for their rest hours. During the night, the awoken quiet drifts into their camp and is detected in time for them to deal with it, confirming suspicions. The city isn't as dead as it looks. What lives here is just very dangerous. So that gives us our initial thing. But then,
like, German, I'm not saying you're not. I'm not saying that's not a good idea. She already has a trophy. She already has the Tide Warden trophy. German is saying, could Jabra have a trophy from a raid on this particular village?
I don't think Jabra as well would have had reason to come here because she was a pirate queen. She was in charge of an entire fleet. I feel like she was the sort of person who raided alongside the Crimson Wall. And while she may have caused issues for, the sort of Gleamwake area, I feel like she's come south while she's trying to recover things. So I don't think, and the only reason I'm going into this in so much detail is because we said we wanted to write Jabra's story after we get done with this book because she's such an interesting character, and I feel like we just benefit from her not being based in this area, and she's here while she's licking her wound, so it wouldn't make sense for her to have done that.
And then it's like the things mean things in stories.
Yeah,
like if we introduce that she has a trinket from this story, like what does that mean?
I want a reason for the Titans to shine. And the way we're going to do this is the group explores for a while, okay? And they come across one of the defunct towers. We've described light, we've described heat, we've described everything. They need the Titans for raw strength and capability when something really dangerous comes creeping out of the lower vents. A particularly thick and virulent strain, clouds of leech. Imagine leeches with fins sallying forth, trying to devour the Titan from within. trying to get into the not so vulnerable but still active temps core of a titan, trying to devour it. Some manner of underwater terrifying happenstance that the titans really come to the fore, both as powerful assets and as something that is
Vulnerable.
vulnerable and doesn't necessarily dominate every problem that they have. Because, at, for instance, what I would say is that the library titan can come to the fore, act as a scout, and literally make a map by pinging one tower after the other and reading and sorting through the memories, especially if we contrast it with Jake's being overwhelmed and barfing inside his own suit, and then the library titan comes in and just like, okay, and I can read entire Wikipedia on my own in an afternoon. And then something comes out and tries to eat it for being too much of a brainy thing, too close to a colony
Whatever
of
nest
silence.
colony, yeah.
Yeah, a nest of absence that just sprouts out and says, thoughts, delicious.
Ed Gauss has a suggestion. During the night, this could be when Jake notices things get silent with a P, and makes a comment on it, but someone else, should be a Sholi, but could be Kilo, puts two and two together. Then again, a Sholi would probably notice first.
They might be busy thinking about something else, actually.
Yeah,
And-
might still be like weirded out by the silence with an S of the city.
Mhm.
All right, let me read to you what I've written down whilst you guys have been ruminating and from where we got to. So, we had the father turn up. So that night, the group discusses in brief what they know so far and the info from the father Arkir. As a result, they decide to be extra careful about setting a night watch for their rest hours. During the night, the awoken Quiet from the pirate raid in the prologue drifts into their camp and is detected in time for them to deal with it, confirming suspicions the city isn't as dead as it looks, but what lives here is just very dangerous. As they deal with the Quiet, Jake catches his first whiffs of the song of the city. In the morning, therefore, they explore more. They need to know what is the extent of the Quiet problem, and is what Jake detected actually a thing, or is the human just being useless? And of course, the human's not being useless. So in the morning, they explore more. The Titans are critical to both protecting the group from the Quiet, moving heavy items, and dealing with unique wildlife that is adapted here. Psionics are rare after the silence, but creatures that still benefit from it are therefore going to be very keen to get their jaws into the Titans. And that's where we can have our group fight off some Titan attacking leech horrors, whatever we want those monsters to be. That will lead the group to take shelter in one of the Temps towers, and Jake throwing up from experiencing cephalonid memories, and the group will establish a sort of routine of how they're going to deal with the city. The Librarian Titan will ping the towers. They'll use terrain to help them handle the nasty critters in the area until they can clean them out. And Jake then has the clear space to try and pinpoint where he's hearing this song coming from, and that steadily leads them deeper. How do we feel about that so far?
Mad Ducks has a very, very, very important question that needs to be answered for the setting.
And what is that?
Do you reckon that soup would be nearly impossible to sell underwater?
No, because we've already decided that they make soup inside barnacles like a Capri Sun, and you just stick a straw in it. So, a nice hot barnacle in cold water is probably really nice.
Yeah. Get barnacles, bitch.
And yeah, Oxo is hitting the same idea. We did come up with that. We did come up with underwater soup. Okay,
Yeah.
the silence
Some of it-
moving opens up an opportunity for something big to start moving. I mean, that's ultimately where we're heading towards.
That night watch scene could definitely be where this where Ed's suggestion of Jake noticing something could happen.
Okay, so let me pop over to where I wrote that.
Mad Ducks, that's all I needed. I now lurk while I work.
Jake also notices it gets silent at night. Remind me, Ed, Kilo was his AI familiar,
companion.
correct? Yeah, I'm just making
companion,
sure
yes.
I still have... Yeah, it is his familiar. Cool. I have got my head in the right place. Good.
Yes.
All right, so we've got them exploring the city. They're beginning to figure out where the song is coming from. I think at this point, because we want to keep the action flowing, we want things to be exciting, this is the point where they pass through the temple complex.
Is this
Very
where
creepy.
the sleeping, super underwater cavitating
Not
Valstrax
yet.
would be?
No. They pass through the temple complex and into the abandoned armory slash what do we call it?
If there are statues of the old forgotten gods here, would they have been scoured in such a way that their features are almost imperceptible? Would the statues be made out of coral, perhaps having memories or faint flickers of memories of the worship and the festivals and sacrifices given to them?
Yes, but the silence has devoured it, so the statues are silent.
And they surely find that really creepy. Whereas for Jake, it's not quite such a big deal because he's used to statues not having memories.
Statues as rocks, not a living memory of worship.
Exactly.
Coral and
It's like us
surely
looking at marble.
find it.
It's like us looking at marble statues of ancient Rome, not realizing they should have
Paint.
color all over them. Yeah.
Yes.
paint.
For those of you who are not aware of this fact, many ancient Roman carvings, be it columns, statues, frescoes, reliefs, all that kind of stuff, were actively painted. They were not just stark white marble, which is something that the Renaissance got very wrong.
Yep. But what I think will be really interesting here is if we have the statues in the temple seeming weird to the Shoali because they're silent and don't have memories in them, to Jake they're weird because the faces have been eroded away and there aren't features there. That's our sort of melding of the minds of we're both creeped out for the things that are important to how our cultures work. That will be a really interesting sort of cultural thing of, yes, we are all freaked out, but for different reasons. And wow, isn't it weird that we've evolved in these ways?
Of the same thing.
Yes.
We're freaked out for different reasons about the same thing.
So we get to explore that. Okay, they make a temporary sort of shelter point, a halfway redoubt inside the abandoned barracks. Chance to explore the technology found there and also have a meal. Lets us show the audience surely cooking.
Because this is apparently a very important thing.
Okay,
Yes,
next
actually it is.
they use their titans to clear the barricaded far side of the barracks. This allows them into the sections of the city that are still untouched.
Question, thought.
Yes.
Would it be weird? Would it strike them as weird that a city such as this has a barracks / armory as well stocked with as dangerous or deadly machinery as it has? Like would that strike them as like, why do they have such large weapons here?
So I think with having our librarian on board, who, you know, will have done as much study as she can, and it's known that this city predates the Forge Wars, so it having stock there makes sense because technology's moved on. This wasn't worth coming back for, but at the same time, why do they have this? Why is it so big? Well, they didn't have Titans. So a lot of this is very old, and of course that means a lot of it will be rusted and not useful, or well, not rusted because it's not going to be metal, but
I'm leaning more into the to the thought of what are they fighting off that they need such large weapons.
that will definitely be something to discuss. Yes.
Ed Gauss has a thought. I imagine Hordaka is the only one that hangs out with Jake on watch to humor the human trying to help. So perhaps Hordaka is the first to notice the silence and raise the alarm. Give a Sholi a time to shine.
Yes, that would be good. That would be good. I'll make a note of that in a minute. So what I'm going to put here is discussion of what items in the armory would have been used to repel. Discussion moves into
an ancient anti-Leviathan weapon.
Yeah, the kind of Leviathans this stuff was made for. Those Leviathans aren't around here. There's none.
Or are they?
Well, there's. Oh, this is what I think will be interesting: is there's none of the signs that this species remains here, but there's no good reason they haven't come back. Just like there's no good reason why the silence here hasn't naturally died off. And that's our woo, which will be relevant, of course, to what's actually going on.
Theme.
Yes. Okay, so where was the watch section?
Up there in that.
Here.
During the night, the awoken quiet drifts into camp, blah, 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 blah.
Jake and Hordaka are on watch when this happens. Hordaka gets along with Jake best, brackets outside of Umi. Hordaka gets to shine here by noticing what Jake wouldn't have. Cool, there we go, that's listed in. Okay, so we're going to use the Titans to clear the barricaded far side of the barracks, allowing them into sections of the city that's still untouched. I feel like this section is maybe sort of underground, in inverted commas. It leads them down into an underground area, a sort of sheltered area.
Perhaps an old, like, magma tunnel or something?
Yeah, so we'll have a think about that. This is now untouched archaeology, and the discoveries and threats ramp up accordingly.
I love just how many vowels are in a row in archaeology.
Yes, too many. We are now finding undisturbed carvings and wall paintings that have survived and detail the closing days of the city.
What killed the city?
The silence. The
silence.
Yeah.
Of the city.
The issue here is that the silence came through, it infected all of the corals. And you remember how we said that the city has the circle of Temps corals that all feed into the central repository?
Ooh.
That ended up being a kind of problem once the silence crept in. And it was the silence that killed the city, but the problem that's here now postdates that. Because the reason why the supercavitating underwater Leviathan babies are here is because this was an abandoned site. So what we should discover from this is that the murals of the city's closing days do not match with the silence issues the team is encountering.
Okay.
They don't know why.
A scene that I see if these murals under here are like the last communications of the refugees or survivors, as it were, like showcasing like a cloud descending on one of the Temps corals and like someone like and then just like that slowly spreading through like a muralized map or something.
Mm-hmm.
Three things.
Yes.
Three things.
Yep.
Once getting into the enclosed space where the last survivors have left their physical memories, they no longer had Thames Coral.
Yep.
That's
They're
why this is weird. Yes, because it's not recorded on
But
Coral.
that should
It's
be the
recorded
other thing is
physically and visually.
this is going to be the crude art of people not used to. This is not a temple dedicated to beauty. This is a memorial. This is a mausoleum of people who know they're going to die. And the first wave of water to come out of this mausoleum is dead. The salinity and the oxygen levels in that water will kill unprotected Shoalie.
This gives us an opportunity for Jake to go in and explore because he's in a sealed
Exactly.
half suit.
Exactly.
So
and
it's like
any Shoalie swimming into that puddle of there's an estuary where the water changes inside this now newly opened cavern, and it is deadly inside, and it is a necropolis that they have to step into.
yeah, it's like describing the water as like stale water, like going into a pocket of air in like a very deep sequestered cave. Just like we have stale air in that cave, we have stale water in this mausoleum necropolis.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a necropolis. It's exactly what it is.
okay. So
This
I've
gives
added in.
we're going to find skeletons here.
So I've added in the initial water inside the new area is dead. Unprotected Shoalie will be killed swimming in it. Jake gets to go in first because he's in a hab suit. The Temple Guardian is too big to follow, but gives Jake a remote camera to take with him. It will take a day or two for the water to become habitable for the rest of the group. I'm thinking maybe we let Jabra go with him as well. Maybe she has.
Jabra is stupid enough to have enough insulation to survive in there for
Yeah, and maybe
half an
she
hour.
has, like some.
There's some sort of deep ceratinoid biology that allows her to live on low oxygenated water.
Yep.
Polygoth has a comment. CO2 cave, but for Shoalie, yes.
Yeah.
Wilf 999 and crabs are tough.
Yeah. I've also put here that it will take a day or two for the water to become habitable for the rest of the group. So this allows us to sort of have expeditions going into it with the intention that long term they'll be able to go in too. Although, of course, I'm sure we'll have problems before that happens.
Ed Gauss, maybe Jabra still has some drop pirate gear.
Yeah, I'm thinking some kind of exploratory gill kit that will allow her to accompany him for short periods of time and survive what's in there. Some kit
but yes,
from
I do like the idea. It's
days.
like these are not detailed. These are not like detailed drawings or carvings or anything, because these people are not. It did not evolve in a culture that had drawings and carvings to communicate ideas. They had coral, and now the coral is dead.
Yeah, so I put the murals of the city's closing days do not match with the silence issues the team is encountering. They don't know why. The Shoalie know they need to try to find surviving Temps coral because it will be more accurate. The paintings and carvings are crude, as normally people just use Temps. This drives Jake to want to go deeper, looking both for the source of the song they can now all hear, but also some record the Shoalie can use to get a better idea of what happened.
Idea really quick.
Yep.
Like we noticed, we had that conversation about both Jake and the Shoalie being creeped out by the statues in the same way, but for different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps like exploring like this. It's just like the Shoalie just aren't used to visually communicating ideas, but Jake is just like, oh yeah, it's like this feels like this, it looks like this, and he's trying to translate the visual story for memory-based people.
Yep.
Okay. I've also got another thing that needs to happen while they're there. As they delve deeper, Jake and Jabra come across a mummified cephalonid corpse.
I was going to say, where's the
Jake.
dead bodies? And if these are cephalonids, they don't have bodies, they just have the shell and the head, right?
They don't have a shell.
Cephalonids are the squid people, so it will be a mummified body, so that we can, so that it's there. Basically salt dried from natural water. But the important thing is going to be Jake is immediately concerned and empathetic and sorrowful and very human about this. Jabra isn't, because she's a crab and has
Jabra doesn't.
crab
And a
thoughts.
pirate.
I think here's a point. Jabra might be callous, but it's a good point to illustrate that she sees this and she says they were too stupid to run away when they had a chance.
Yes. That's exactly what I'm thinking, is that she has a very Soratanoid attitude to it. It's just not, fuck them, they didn't matter. But it's going to be very pragmatic, like crabs are. But of course, I'm going to use Vox speed because it's just terminology I know. We'll decide what it's going to be in terms. Over the Vox speed, Mags asks Jake to look into the corpse.
Is this where we find our first cavitating egg?
No. Asks Jake to look into the corpse's condition and tells him what to do to be respectful. But ultimately...
Surely funerary rites.
Yeah, ultimately, death is to be expected. And this is just a chance to show the audience the different ways surely cultures and individuals think about the dead. This is a good chance for us to show more of our setting to our audience, that Jabra's callousness, or callousness in inverted commas because it isn't really, is very normal for a Soratanoid. But also that you've got other cultures that work in different ways, and that some people are more empathetic than others, and people deal with grief in different ways, and that's the same on Shoal as it is on Earth. I think that's an important message to work with. Yes.
How is Mags the librarian dealing with all of this visual information with her library titan? And two, how much longer is the slot?
We have another half an hour, and I think our librarian, I've already put up here that she's going to send a camera with Jake, and I think she's going to want pictures of everything, and that's where we bring in the archival part of her Titan, is that, all of this is being recorded, and she's going over, she's poring over it as they're exploring.
Can I be somewhat terrible?
Go ahead.
Sure.
Yes. Welcome to the Legion.
Can the librarian, the library titan, devour the mummified cephalonid as a part of the preservation of the memory?
Interesting. How do we feel about that, chat?
Do we need a poll?
We'll see what chat has to say first, and then we can do it as a poll if there is any Discord about it, at which point we then, it becomes a communal decision. The corpse would be kind of like a squid raisin. Thank you, Tired German. Yes, we have found a squid raisin.
I'm just saying that these are corals, and this is a titan, and this is a corpse. And corpses do not preserve well underwater.
That's true.
In tearing them inside a living thing, something that remembers.
Feed the body to the memory extractor, brackets, wood chipper. It seems like chat is on board with this. And calamari time, there's so much left after so long. So yeah, it is going to be, okay, yeah, we'll do that.
Again, I'm sorry for being a terrible person.
No, it's fine. It's playing with an alien culture.
Yes.
You
no,
just
that-
want whoever
yeah,
looks
no.
at the challenge later. You just want whoever looks at all this later to be like, "What the fuck was that poll for?" I know you. You just want whoever has to do polls next to be confused.
Yes. Yes.
All right, we'll let the poll run.
But no, like it makes sense. Like they have found dead Temps corals, and now here is a almost perfectly preserved Sholi. And she's just like, fuck it, we need to know.
We will study it, then we will
Amadeus,
consume it.
Is this a taboo practice for Sholi?
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere, yes. All surely, no. It is definitely it's taboo somewhere, but you know what? It might be taboo in lots of places, but she's a librarian, and she's a librarian from a salation temple, and they give less of a fuck than other temples. They think knowledge is more important than you.
So Umi and Hordaka are weirded out by this, but she's just
Yeah.
like, we haven't found any records. This is the only way that we can get like memories.
I think she starts off by why are you weirded out, and moves on to listen, this is the pragmatic thing to do. I understand you have feelings and all of these things in your fins, but we need to know.
This
And
person is long dead, and
the
we're in a
coral-
bind.
even the song that he was once a part of has fell to the silence. In essence, I'm returning them to the song, not taking them away from it. And
All
ma-
10
and ma-
people who voted said yes. Mags eats the corpse.
Yep, I have added it
Okay.
in. Okay, so I think what needs to happen here then is if we're bringing the corpse out, this is what I think needs to happen next. And it's going to be a new section again because there will be a chapter break around here, I reckon. Okay, after retrieving the corpse, the group
This is
falls...
very library for her.
Yes. Falls back to their main base and goes over what they have found. They visit, or are invited to, the local village and decide to spend a day or so learning the local legends, as this will give the new tunnels time to, I'm going to put air out in brackets because it's not literally airing out, it's flowing out, but yeah, it's good time, the new tunnels time to air out, so when they return, the whole group can enter, although the Titans will have to wait outside. While at the Shark Village, they learn the local legends about the downfall of the... Please don't yell, Anchor. Downfall of the city. And curiously...
Is this where local legends of the Valstrax is going to come in?
Yes. They hear for the first time legends about some other threat still being buried in the city, post-dating its destruction.
We have a couple of Bawoos and a Pet Redeem.
Okay. Could you pet the pups, please? They've got in to see Aiden.
Ed Gauss has a thought, being Terran, Jake would not be used to recycling, air quotes,
Yes.
corpses so directly, though a non-Terran human, especially a Vesuvian or a spacer, could or would be more comfortable mulching the dead. Tyre
Here's a
German
bi-
replies, true, mostly Earth-born Terrans despise direct recycling.
I will say he is a biologist, and if any biologist I've ever known is any indication, they would look at that and say, ah, yes, good fertilizer.
I mean, correct.
And I mean, he could
I mean, it's
remark
like-
that it would be cool to give him that remark of, we're a normal
baby girl.
dude. If I was a normal dude, I'd be disgusted. But you know what? That tracks. Let's move on.
All right, so where I've got us to is... Thank you, Anka, that's very helpful. After retrieving the corpse, the group falls back to main base, goes over what they found. They visit the local village, they hear its local legends. They're fine with doing this because they need to let this new area air out, so they're not just wasting time. You know, this won't feel so forced.
This isn't contrived.
yeah.
It's narrative.
It makes sense, yeah. While they're at the Shark Village, the local legends introduce for the first time some other threat is in the city, and it's why they won't go there, and that it post-dates the city's destruction. No one has ever heard this story before. There's nothing in the archives at Songgorge about this. There's nothing on Gleamwake about this. There's nothing in Sulayan about this. This is a local legend that... if it's based in fact, a fact no one's heard before. So some of the party will be all, it's just a local ghost story to keep the kids out
It's
of the
just
dangerous city.
superstition,
Whereas, you know, Max might be, well, this isn't uncommon, and quite often there is some truth in it, though whether it's as bad as they say it is, you know, whether it was some just... They've already told us that there's pirate raiding parties that sometimes come through. Maybe it's just something that's grown out of a very old story about that's grown over the years. But ultimately, there's only going to be one way to find out. They need to go and see. And that will be where the next section begins, where they then return to the city and
Where
everyone
are
goes
we?
in.
Where are we in the 5-act structure now?
Let me bring up the 5-act structure over here so we can see it. Boop. There we go. So we've had our exposition and we've had our rising action, which is our sort of characters arriving. We're kind of in our progressive complications in Act 2 at the moment. Hammering on the characters as they currently are, their worldviews, their goals, the intended path to get there, all of that sort of thing. Yeah, sort of between that and Act 3.
Ignorant locals.
Yeah. So we've had them delving into the ruined city, exploring. So yeah, we're just beginning, like the end of Act 2, beginning of Act 3 is where we're at. Because when they return to the city, it will now be that further rising action of really picking their way through the rubble. And in that next section, when they return to investigate further, the Shark Girl surreptitiously tags along, and that will be our start of Act 3 and sort of really delving into that. I feel like we've kind of reached what would be a good point to stop for this stream, so that we can start really thinking about Act 3 next stream and where we're going to go with it. But I think
Lord Troa, we are in the F around point of the story.
yes, we are very much building up towards the oh fuck we found out. Because this will be, so this will be where Act 3 really kicks in. And this is the build
Ed
to
Gauss
finding
replying
the hidden
to-
lab.
Ed Gauss replying to... Go ahead.
I have to say that we are at the point of finding out, of fucking around, and the fun part is that the cloud of leaving Titan-eating leeches is just a side note of a problem.
It's
Yes.
not the problem. It is
It's
just...
it's
it's
an
a symptom.
incidental. It's an incidental. It's not even the
wanna
real
make a
problem.
note
It's
for
not even
myself.
the causality. It is the reason nobody knows about the real problem. like,
the
what-
Titan-eating leeches could lead into... Red, you had a note earlier. Previous expeditions and treasure hunting crews failed and were never heard from again.
Yep.
These leeches could have been why they never came back.
Do we have a corpse of a Titan somewhere down there?
We should do. That would be fun. But what I'm thinking right now is if we've got these Titan-eating leeches and we've had our characters, go through all this effort to try and deal with them, get them out of the way because they're trying to attack our Titans, they're a problem. I mean, the reason they're going after the Titans is because they're psionically active. the quiet is still here because that's what's being used to keep the babies asleep. What if the leeches are a biological experiment as well that are there to eat the babies if they wake up? And oh fuck, now we've killed off the initial ones, and that's given them their way to try and escape. We need to find the ones that are left and lure them into. And that's how one of the babies is killed.
This is why this is a ticking time bomb, because those leeches were starting to die out, and the babies would have woken up sooner than later.
I like it.
Because
like
what we're doing here, the reason why this feels good and why, you know, we're going, ooh, etc., is because we've put things in the story that are good for the reason that we've initially put them there, but we're bringing it back in. We're tightening up our narrative. We're making everything useful. It isn't just there to be a threat to our protagonists. They're there for a reason beyond our protagonists, and our protagonists have now caused themselves both another problem, but if they can solve it, then it can be a solution. That's very satisfying. That is what good storytelling is grown from.
The tightening up of the narrative. Ha.
Yes.
Go away.
To call back to something that we said repeatedly at the beginning of the stream. Things in books mean things.
Things mean things.
Sorry.
One thing I'm going to put down, because we're saying this, the leeches are not there to the reason the leeches are preventing the waking up of the babies is not because they themselves are the silence, but because they change the quality of the water. They are essentially a biological dampener on a larger system, like an inhibitor. And they're dying out, and this is the inhibitor that would not be prevalent in the water. Essentially, it's a biosystem. Because they don't have valves, they don't have metal, they don't have many mechanical ways of doing things. So the Shoali are doing things with biological engineering. The leeches.
So these leeches were part of the ancient cephalonid infrastructure of the city, not a modern thing that came in. It's just some sort of
no. The biolab infested. These leeches are not the silence. They're they're not. There are three types of silence. There's the doldrums, the absence, and the quiet.
Correct.
And the leeches are the doldrums. They're the mobile sort of silence. Okay, and the thing that killed the city was the not the doldrums, it was the quiet. The thing that crept into the coral.
The algae bacteria thing.
Exactly, that's the quiet. These are the mobile version, the doldrums. And these things can crawl out and latch onto things actively and not grow out like a disease.
They're violent and quicker than the quiet, which is like a creeping silence.
Exactly. So what we're having here is we're mashing it all together and also bringing to the fore that the guys who did the super cavitating underwater Valstrax are a biological problem that is interconnected. The doldrums are the controlling mechanism that they've put in place, which people, when we started designing this entire book, this entire story, we said that by disabling the immediate problem, they're setting off the inner problem, and now we know how and why. Now we know that the outer problem, the doldrums, the hyper-evolved, specifically mutated doldrum colonies, are the fail-safe mechanism that keeps the babies asleep.
It's all interweaved.
I think this is Newtonian saying this. Tighten up the narrative, tighten up the narrative, tighten up the narrative for the lads.
As Ninja Turtle. Yeah, this year's meetup was very infected by British. Can you imagine what would have happened if you had more than 3 British people there?
Man, if Jake and if Jake and Jamie were here, man, like, oh
Oh,
man,
that'd be
like
great.
we would have been we would have had to have found a Union Jack and started singing "God Save the King."
And then we'd have all been yelling at you for holding it upside down, no doubt. Anyway.
There is a right way up for the British flag.
Yes.
Bully Snake, multiple levels of threats and safeguards in delicate balance.
Yes.
And the arrival of the Titans killing / attracting some of this definitely disrupts this balance.
Yeah. So we'll pick up with Act 3 next week, but I think this needs to be Act 3 finding the first corpses of the scientists. Dates don't match, we'll go in that section. Finding information on the leeches and Quiet being genetically engineered. Why? Finally finding out about the grand experiment and then accidentally unleashing the babies. Will all be in stuff we cover next week.
I have a terrible idea.
What is your terrible idea?
Please share with the class. Did you bring enough?
Yes. Oh, goodness gracious, yes. The doldrums are partially developed to try and hollow out some of the Valstrax babies so they can insert other manual controls into these things after they gestate and become a weapon. Because if we're doing war crimes on a biological level, let's do it completely.
So were these ancient cephalinids experimenting on the Valstrax,
No,
or was that some group that has been killed and or left came here after the silence descended
Yes.
and did Valstrax experiments?
Yes, the latter. And we haven't decided what species they will be. I'm thinking what we might end up doing is having them be rogue / outlaw Solatian bioengineers who were displaced during the because we know from when we did our world building that there was a real big issue with unethical genetic engineering in Solayan, and that once that got clamped down on, maybe these guys are refugees from that, because that, I believe,
given the proximity
Forge
to
Wars.
Solayan,
Yes.
given proximity to Solayan in the and the Gleamwake in the map, like yes, this makes sense.
Yeah, so that's where my thoughts are on that.
Where can we go? Oh wow, look at this very quiet place. Lord Grimos, listening to I Fought the Claw and the Claw Won, a Ceratinoid rebel bandit song inspired heavily by human music. Turtle, Lego my Valstrax Egos.
And we've had, are we suggesting Shoalborn? No, Dark Shoals. I hate you guys. You're terrible.
Oh God, that leads to a question. What do Shoaly video games, if they have them, look like?
Very vivid. Very vivid. All I'm saying is, a Solation went to the supercavitating undersea Valstrax and said, "What? Can I Susella this?"
Absolutely, we can potentially have it go in that direction. I think though that this all needs to be thoughts for next week. I'm really pleased with where we've got to. This is going to be a fun book. I think this is just going to be enjoyable to read. It's going to be a really good popcorn book, you know?
Yeah, like it feels like we're hitting tropes, but not in a I'm doing the trope, look at me. We're just like, tropes are tropes for a reason.
Yes.
And when they're written well, it's fine.
Yeah. So with the
And
thing
it
with
feels like we're
tropes and
writing
cliches,
these well.
yeah, the thing with tropes and cliches is they became popular for a reason, and when you use them, you either want to use it well by using it with, say, a unique setting, which is what we're doing, or in a unique way, or to give a unique outcome, or you want to subvert it for
Or
those
just
same
flat out
reasons.
satire.
Yeah, so we're not trying to subvert it. We're using quite a few tropes here relatively straight, but we're using them straight because what we're doing is we're using these familiar and satisfying story beats to explore a really unique and unusual setting. And that I think is why it will come across as enjoyable and good. We're not going to change the world with this book. We're not going to make people wake up to, you know, a savage truth of the human condition most people don't think about. What we're going to do is give people a satisfying book that you can eat popcorn to. And for a first book introducing a series, I think that's a pretty good route to go down.
Agreed. Let's do it.
Yes. All right. We are about 10 minutes.
Remember, if you have time to gab, you have time to crab.
Correct. We're about 10 minutes away from the end of my slot, and I believe Stryker will be here as normal today. Please be kind and nice to Stryker. He was incredibly good at the meetup and a wonderful person to be around, and I love Stryker all the more now. So we're going to be nice to Stryker this week. He may still have Conqueror.
He may or may not have he may or may not been instrumental in bringing a certain puppet to life.
Yes, Stryker is good, people. He was just an absolute joy to be around at all times during the meetup. So we're going to be lovely to Stryker when it's his stream. Thank you all for joining me this week and continuing this absolute madness that we've put together. I can't wait for this book to come to life and for more people to see more of the cool stuff we've done. Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. And, you know, at some point we're going to write a romance book and make Tex edit it because mistakes were made. And won't this be wonderful? Did you ever get the puppet to do the Apocalypse Jim voice? It has not happened yet because of the... So... in part, the problem with the request for that was, one, people were ill. Two, when I did get the right people together and we went to find the puppet had absconded, and for a while we were convinced that Jim had actually possessed the puppet and walked off. We found the puppet the next morning with a bottle of alcohol, so I'm not asking questions, but... I do have a plan for getting that video to happen. It's just going to take me a little bit of time to do it because I know where the puppet is, I know where Jim is, and I know how to get these two things to happen together. So.
Do I have... I know I have this picture somewhere. I know this picture is somewhere. Do your things. I'm sorry.
All right, I think I need to get us out of here so that Stryker has proper setup time and we have proper cooldown time, and we will be back here next week. We'll be working on Act 3 and we'll see where we go from there. Thank you for joining me, Doctor Who, and of course Lichter, who puts up with me every week. And thank you, chat, for joining us. I'm going to throw us over to our outro. Have a good week, be kind to each other, and I hope to see as many of you as possible on Sunday for WBPLW. All right, time to get out of here.